there is no issue with the sound, can you please give me a thumbs up? So last week, Friday, if you remember what we have done, we started with the concept of the exchange rate, right? We had finished the exchange rate on Thursday. After that, we started with the concept of balance of payment, right? What is a balance of payment? Balance of payment in essence is nothing but it's a record of all the transactions that take place between India and rest of the world. Very simple. It's a record of transactions that will take place between India and the rest of the world. That is called as a balance of payment. Now, why do we have transactions between India and rest of the world? Because we import goods and services, we export goods and services, right? Investments will come into India, investment will go out of India, remittances will come, remittances will go, etc., etc. So for all of this, we need to keep a record of transaction, which is called as a balance of payment. Who will prepare this balance of payment? Who is the responsible authority for preparation of balance of payment? The balance of payments is actually prepared by Reserve Bank of India, RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Now, in the context of India, we have discussed the concept of balance of trade. Balance of trade, it could be a trade surplus, it could be a trade deficit, it could be a balanced trade. In case of India, right? I hope remember what do we have? What we generally have? Do we have a balance of trade surplus or trade deficit? Right? If you remember correctly, I said we generally have trade deficit in India. After that, we have discussed a current account deficit and current account surplus, CAD and CAS, CAD and CAS. Now, before I go forward, please do let me know. At this point, I was supposed to make a connection, but please do let me know. If India's current account deficit increases, if the India's current account deficit increases, will it have an impact on exchange rate? Please do let me know. Now, this should be very clear to you. I repeat it. If India's current account deficit increases, will it have an impact on exchange rate? Right. In fact, this was the point that was written in one of the factors of exchange rate. I had forgotten to tell you in the balance of payment, but please let me know right now. If CAD increases, can I say it will have an impact on exchange rate? Answer is simply yes. It will have an impact. How? If CAD increases, it simply means more dollars are going out of India. Simple. The outflow of dollars from India will be higher, which means you're converting more of rupees. You're selling more of rupees in the market and you're demanding more of dollars. You're selling more of rupees and you're purchasing more of dollars. And as a result of this, will it have an impact on exchange rate? Of course, yes, it will have an impact. Okay. So current account deficit, I had forgotten to tell you this, but yes, with the CAD, it will have an impact on exchange rate. Then we have discussed a balance of payments, complete balance of payments, a surplus and a deficit. Complete balance of payments, surplus and a deficit. Right? That is basically the revenue side. If it is greater than the expenditure side in the balance of payment, it is called as a balance of payment surplus. Otherwise, this is called as a balance of payment deficit. Okay. Now, after that, we have discussed what's a concept of convertibility. Right? I hope remember this. What is the concept of convertibility? What do you mean by convertibility? How freely are you able to convert your domestic currency into foreign currency and vice versa? I repeat, how freely are you able to convert your domestic currency into foreign currency and vice versa? That is called as convertibility. In case of India, I hope remember this. The current account has full convertibility, whereas the capital account has partial convertibility. And the reason why we have a partial convertibility in the capital account is very simple. We are concerned about the fact that if you have full convertibility, then it could create a lot of volatility, uncertainty in the market whenever the dollars will flow out of India. And that is the precise reason we have partial convertibility in the capital account, whereas in the current account, we have full convertibility. Then we have discussed concept of WTO, World Trade Organization. Before, before we did not have WTO. WTO started operating from 1995. Before 1995, we had basically an agreement called as GATT, GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, GATT. Now, we established GATT earlier, right? Because we proposed ITO, but there was no consensus to set up ITO. As a result of this, we established GATT. GATT was basically an arrangement. It was a stopgap. It was a temporary arrangement. And over a period of time, many countries joined GATT, but there were certain concerns with GATT. For example, dispute settlement was not appropriate. It was very slow under GATT. It covered only goods, right? It covered very few number of countries, etc. That's a precise reason. 1995. I hope you remember this. That's a precise reason. 1995, we established World Trade Organization. And World Trade Organization, right, has a very nice institutional structure. There is a ministerial conference. Ministerial conference is the highest decision making body. It will meet once every 2 years. Of course, that is not a compulsion, it's a convention. Now, after ministerial councils, we also have general council. General council takes care of day-to-day activities of a WTO, and general council will act as a dispute settlement body, and general council will also act as a trade policy review body. After that, we have discussed the principles followed under WTO. For example, most favored nation principle. For example, national treatment, etc. After that, we have discussed certain very important agreements under WTO. That is a GATS, General Agreement in Trade in Services. Then we have discussed TRIPS, trade-related intellectual property rights. Then we have discussed TRIMS, trade-related investment measures. Now we are supposed to discuss certain more important concepts under WTO. Let me discuss a dispute settlement. Dispute settlement. Now, before I go forward, did all of you get time to read the set of the articles that are given on Friday? Please do let me know. Did all of you, I know all of you are very busy with UPSC preparation. All of you are very busy with UPSC preparation, but did you get time, right? In the last 3 days, did you get time anywhere to read those articles that I've listed and given to you people? And please do let me know, were those articles relevant for UPSC? Were those articles important for UPSC? Should you have read those articles? Let me know what is your feedback. And before I go forward, some of the articles are not clear. Okay, let them be not clear. What is the importance of clarity? Question is, are you able to read the articles? Right? Question should not be, sir, the HD version is not there. That is not needed for UPSC preparation. Don't worry about HD or non-HD version of the articles. Were they available to you? Were you able to read? That is more important for me. Okay, so I hope you understand these articles are very much relevant. All I'm trying to convey to you people is simple. Only one point I'm trying to convey to you people. You are stuck with Hindu newspaper, and nothing wrong with that. You read Hindu newspaper religiously. But I hope you understand there is a world beyond Hindu also, which you're supposed to cover for GS paper 3. This is all I'm trying to convey to you people. Very simple. You people read Hindu. I don't have any doubt. You read Hindu, right? You revise Hindu, etc., etc. But all I'm trying to convey to you people is there is economy beyond Hindu also, which is relevant, which is required for you people. Okay. So I hope you have read. If you have not read, please make time and read those articles. Right. So if I'm giving you certain articles, it is for your benefit. Please read them. Now, before I go forward, any article important in today's Hindu newspaper? I did not find any important article for economics in today's Hindu newspaper. Okay. Now, with that caveat, let me start with dispute settlement. Just give me a minute. Just give me a second, right? So I'll be switching off the camera. Just give me a second. Don't panic. Nothing is happening. Okay. In a sense, any kind of right basic friction between member countries. Friction means, let me give a very simple example. Imagine Indian government will introduce a certain policy. Government of India will introduce certain policy. And let's say this policy will affect imports which are coming into India. So this policy should be acceptable to other countries. If they do not accept this kind of a policy, right, basic argument is there's a dispute between the member countries. Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. India will introduce a policy. This policy should be acceptable to other member countries of WTO. If they do not accept it, basically we'll say there is a dispute between India and other countries. Can I give you a current affairs example? Can I give you a current affairs example? Government of India very recently has announced that if you import right products such as the PCs, laptop, etc., you will require let's say licenses. You will require licenses. Now, this kind of a policy should be acceptable to other countries. If they do not accept it, of course, they will raise a concern regarding this. They will go to WTO and they'll file a dispute. They will file a complaint against India. Any other example, sir? Earlier, when we exported steel and aluminum to USA, the USA government, right? USA government basically had imposed more taxes. I repeat, earlier the USA government, when we exported steel and aluminum to USA, our exports attracted around 20%, 30% taxes by the USA government. So that was not acceptable to us. So we went to WTO, filed a complaint. So argument is simple. Argument is simple here. Certain member countries will introduce a policy, and if other countries do not accept it, we call it as a dispute. And what do other countries do? These other countries will go to WTO and file a dispute, file a complaint against India. Any problem with the term dispute here? Right? Non-agreement. It basically non-agreement. You are introducing a policy which is not acceptable to other member countries. So imagine there is a dispute. There are two countries, X and Y, or let's say A and B. There are two countries. A has implemented a policy. A has implemented a policy which is not acceptable to B. So there is a dispute now. B will go to WTO, file a complaint against India or file a complaint against A. Now, a member country will file a complaint against another country at DSB. If you ask me, sir, what is a DSB? DSB stands for Dispute Settlement Body. Dispute Settlement Body. Right, so dispute settlement body under WTO will basically take the complaint, and the first step will be they will ask the member countries to resolve the dispute amongst themselves. Right, they'll simply say both of your countries, please try to resolve your dispute amongst yourselves. Try to hold negotiations, try to hold consultations, and resolve the dispute. Resolve the dispute. Okay, now that is basically the first step. Now, after this, those who have joined now, please understand, this is the first point I'm discussing. I did not discuss anything before this. Those who are joining now, I did not discuss anything. Don't keep on saying, sir, revise last 15 minutes. I did not do anything. I started with the dispute. This is the first point. Right? Until now, what did you do, sir? I was basically telling you what we covered last week. Right? I was basically telling the others what we covered last week. So this is the first point, right? I have not covered anything before you have joined. So join now. So first point, the member country which will go to WTO file a complaint against another country. And after this, they will ask these member countries, the dispute settlement body will ask these member countries to resolve the complaints amongst themselves. Try to hold consultations, try to resolve that particular dispute. Now, what if both A and B are not able to resolve the dispute? They were not able to resolve the dispute. In that case, what will happen? The dispute settlement body will appoint an expert committee, an expert panel. I repeat, the dispute settlement body will appoint an expert panel. Now, this expert panel will look into the complaint of the country B and basically conduct an inquiry and submit a report. I repeat, this panel will conduct an inquiry. Let's say country B has a complaint against country A. It will basically conduct an inquiry and say whether this policy of country A, whether this is correct or wrong. Now, this is the report that is submitted by panel. Now, let's say hypothetically, the panel says the policy of country A is wrong. I repeat, let's say hypothetically, the policy of country A was wrong. Now, please understand this. Against this, country A will be allowed to appeal. The report says country A's policy is wrong. It should not be implemented. So now country A will be allowed to appeal against this report, and the appeal will be done in another body called as appellate body. Under dispute settlement, there is one more body called as appellate body. And this appellate body, please understand, there are 7 experts, 7 members in the appellate body. Please remember this. There are 7 members in the appellate body. And whenever appeal will go to the appellate body, at least, right, out of this, 3 members should sit together. I repeat, out of 7 members, 3 members should sit together and they should take up the appeal and look into the appeal. Right? Appeal is country A will say panel finding is wrong. This is the supporting document, right? They should have given this, etc., etc. So appellate body will take into the country consideration the report of the panel and either will uphold the report of the panel or will basically say panel findings are wrong. But the final decision whether the report should be accepted or not, the final decision is generally taken by the dispute settlement body. The dispute settlement body will either, right, after voting, please remember, after voting, the dispute settlement body either will accept the report or reject the report. And let's say hypothetically, even the dispute settlement body will accept the report of the panel, which means the panel says A's policies are wrong. So even the dispute settlement body is accepting that A's policies are wrong. And now, what does it mean? A will have to withdraw their policies. A will have to withdraw their policies. Okay. So just have a glance of it. Just give me a second. There is a technical glitch. Just give me a second. Right. So do not worry about it. Okay. Okay. Now, before I go forward, one more very important announcement. That was right. Basically, the argument. The tomorrow's class. Tomorrow is 15th August. Tomorrow is 15th August. So it's a holiday. So tomorrow there is no class. Right? I repeat. Tomorrow is 15th August. Tomorrow there will be no class. It's a holiday. Right? Don't join tomorrow. Don't join early morning 6 o'clock. Right? Tomorrow you'll wake up early. Right? The rest of the days you'll not wake up early. Tomorrow purposely will wake up early and sit in front of your PC at 6 o'clock and keep on complaining class shuru nahi ho raha hai. So tomorrow, right? So there is no class. Right? There is no class. It's a public holiday. Okay? Done. Okay, come back to this. This is how the dispute settlement is actually done. Now, in recent times, there is an issue with the dispute settlement under WTO. In recent times, there is an issue with dispute settlement under WTO. What is the issue? If you remember very correctly, I said the appellate body, what is the maximum strength of the experts in the appellate body? It is 7 members. The maximum strength is 7 members. And whenever they will take up the appeal, 3 people will have to sit together and take up the appeal. And next important point, the appointment of the experts in the body. The appointment of experts in the body. The appointment of experts in the appellate body is done through dispute settlement body. And whenever you need to appoint people in the appellate body, argument is very simple. You need consensus. You need consensus. Consensus means what? Everybody should agree to you. You want to appoint, let's say hypothetically. Let's say India wants to appoint me as a member to the appellate body. Again, I'm not an expert. Let's say hypothetically, India wants to appoint me as a member to the appellate body. Every other member country in WTO, every other member country should accept it. What if USA government will say, no, we will not allow you to appoint this person? What if China will say, no, we will not allow you to appoint this person? In such a situation, if you do not have any consensus, you cannot make appointments to WTO. That is basically under the appellate body. Any problem with this? I'll repeat the statement. Right? Whenever the members have to be appointed, because these members will have a tenure of 4 years. These people will have a tenure of 4 years. So imagine somebody's tenure is over. Now you want to appoint somebody else into the place of the person. You require consensus of everyone. If you do not have consensus, if there is any opposition by even one member country, appointment cannot be done. Now, what has happened in the recent times? The government of USA has been opposing, I repeat, the government of USA has been opposing appointment of the people to appellate body. And when one country will oppose this appointment, what will happen? Right, basically appointments cannot be done. As a result of this, from 7 people it has fallen down to 5, from 5 it has fallen down to 3, from 3 it has fallen down to 1, and today in appellate body there are 0 people. In appellate body there are 0 people, means right, there is nobody in the appellate body. Now have a look at this. If there are no people in the appellate body, right, imagine USA will take a complaint to appellate body. Can it be resolved? Think of it. USA, right, imagine a panel will find USA's policies are wrong. So USA has to withdraw the policy. Now USA will take this complaint to appellate body. So now tell me, if there is nobody in the appellate body, can this issue be resolved? No issue cannot be resolved. So the whole process, can I now say the whole process is dysfunctional now? Because of this, the whole dispute settlement process has become dysfunctional, right? Because there is no appellate body, right? Imagine, I'll give you one more example. USA will complain against India, and the panel will say India's policies are wrong. India has to withdraw the policy. Now I will take this panel finding to appellate body. Nobody is there in the appellate body, which means again the whole process will become dysfunctional. The whole process will become dysfunctional, and that is exactly what has happened. So from the last couple of years, many complaints have been taken up to appellate body. There is no appellate body, hence dispute settlement is not working under WTO right now. Any problem with this? Please do let me know. And if you ask me why is that, sir, right, appointment is not happening to the appellate body? One of the very important member countries, USA, the government of USA says WTO's appellate body is not, that is dispute settlement body, is not working in our interest. Most of the cases that we have taken to the dispute settlement, the orders are given against us. So we will basically oppose it. That is the reason, right? The dispute settlement body has become dysfunctional under WTO. Can we go forward now? Any problem here? Please do let me know. If there are any issues, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'll go forward. Okay, next concept. The WTO as well as subsidies. Connection between WTO and subsidies. Now, please understand there are 2 very important agreements here. One is called as Agreement on Subsidies and Countervailing Measures, SCM. Remember this. I'll keep on writing SCM now. Don't keep on asking me what is the long form. Agreement on Subsidies and Countervailing Measures. Second one is Farm Subsidy. We'll discuss both of them separately. Now let me start with a very simple example. I'll come back to this, don't worry. Let me start with a very simple example. Earlier, there was a scheme of Government of India by the name of Merchandise Exports from India scheme. Understand this very carefully. Earlier, there was a scheme by the name of Merchandise Exports from India scheme. Merchandise Exports from India scheme. MEIS, Merchandise Exports from India scheme. Now, what is this Merchandise Exports from India scheme? Please understand this. Carefully. Imagine you are exporting this bottle. Okay, imagine you are exporting this bottle. Now, Government of India, in order to promote more and more export of this bottle, will provide you incentives on the value of bottle that you have exported. I will repeat the statement. Under MEIS, Government of India, in order to promote export of this bottle, will provide you subsidy, will provide you incentives on the value of bottle that you have exported. Sir, what do you mean by that? Let me give a very simple example. Imagine the value of bottle is $100. Just imagine, okay? Imagine the value of the bottle is $100, and government will announce 5% subsidy, 5% incentive for it. Which means, please tell me now, if you export $100 worth of bottle, can I say you will get $5 worth of subsidy? Anybody has a problem with this? If you export $100 worth of the bottle, you will get $5 as subsidy. If you export a $200 worth of bottle, can I say you will get $10 subsidy? If you export $500 worth of bottle, you will get $25 subsidies. Anybody is finding the calculation difficult? I'm calculating simply 5% value. Right? I'm simply calculating 5% of the value. That's it. Now, this was the incentive scheme. This was the subsidy scheme that Government of India introduced earlier in a policy by the name of foreign trade policy. We will discuss foreign trade policy today. There's a slide on this. We'll discuss it in some time. Please don't worry. Earlier, we had a foreign trade policy 2015-2020. We introduced a foreign trade policy back in 2015. And in the foreign trade policy, there were two very important schemes. One was called as MEIS and the second one was called as SEIS. First one was called as MEIS, second one was called as SEIS. Sir, what is SEIS? Instead of merchandise, simply write a service. Remaining part remains same. Instead of merchandise, simply write services. That is Service Exports from India scheme. Anybody has a problem with the long form? Please do let me know right now. MEIS stands for Merchandise Exports from India scheme. Services, right, Exports from India scheme. What was the concept of SEIS? Same logic. Same logic. We will promote exports by giving subsidies to you. Right? Based on the value of export, we will promote exports by giving subsidies to you. So now think of it. The example that I've given here, can I call this example that is a subsidy as export linked subsidy? Think of it and please do answer to me now. Can I call this as export linked subsidy? What do you mean by export linked subsidy? The subsidies that you get are dependent on the value of the export. Very important, remember this. The subsidies that you get are connected to the value of export. For example, if I take the 5% number itself, if you export $1,000 worth of the bottle, how much subsidy you will get? 5% of it, you will get $50 subsidy. Agreed? So the subsidies which are provided are connected to the value of export. As the value will keep on changing, the subsidy will also keep on changing. This is called as export linked subsidy. Now, this is point number one. Point number two, India has signed an agreement by the name of SCM. Do you remember the long form of SCM now? India has signed an agreement by the name of SCM, that is Agreement on Subsidies and Countervailing Measures. And as per this agreement, please remember, as per this agreement, if a country's per capita income, crosses more than $1,000, I'll repeat the statement. If a country's per capita national income crosses more than $1,000, such country should not be providing export linked subsidies. I'll repeat the statement here. As per SCM, Agreement on Subsidies and Countervailing Measures, if a country's per capita national income has crossed more than $1,000, then that country should not provide export linked subsidy. Point number three, India's per capita national income is more than $1,000 since 2013. And I repeat, point number three, India's per capita national income has been more than $1,000 since 2013. Now put all the 3 points together. Put all the 3 points together. One, you are exporting services by providing, you are exporting merchandise, you are exporting services by providing export linked subsidy. Point number two, you are a signatory to agreement on subsidies and countervailing measures, and as per that, if your per capita national income is more than $1,000, you are not supposed to provide export linked subsidies. Point number 3, India's per capita national income is more than $1,000 since 2013. Now please tell me, will USA government agree with MEIS scheme? Let me know. Do you think government of USA will accept MEIS scheme? Will they accept SEIS scheme? They will not accept it. So now can I say there is a dispute between India and USA? All of you will agree? There is a dispute between India and USA. So there is a dispute. And as a result of this, the government of USA with many other countries went to WTO, filed a complaint against India. There was a panel which was set up consisting of 3 experts, and the panel found that yes, India is violating the agreement on these subsidies. India is violating WTO principles by providing export linked subsidies. And that is the precise reason. Have you come across this newspaper article? Government of India has suspended both of them. Government of India suspended both MEIS and SEIS. Now we have one more scheme by the name of RODTEP. Correct? Please do let me know. We have one more scheme by the name of RODTP, remission of duties or taxes on export products. Right? All of you okay with what we have discussed so far? Please do let me know. All of you are okay with what I've discussed so far. That is why there is a dispute. If there is a dispute, what will happen under WTO? Right? Why did government of India withdraw MEIS, SEIS? Why RODTP was implemented? Right? Sir, is MEIS applicable now? No, MEIS is not applicable. Is SEIS applicable? No, it is also not applicable. Government has suspended both of them. Because under WTO, there is a dispute, and the panel says India's policies, export linked subsidies, are wrong. That is basically the importance of this kind of an agreement. All of you are okay with this agreement now? Let me know. All of you are okay with this agreement? Agreement on subsidies and countervailing measures. So if a country's per capita national income crosses more than $1,000, you are not supposed to provide export linked subsidies. Right? You're not supposed to provide export linked subsidies. And there is one more point here. Imagine you're manufacturing this bottle and you're exporting. If your value of export, I repeat, if your value of export is more than 3.25% of total export of this bottle in the international market. I will repeat the statement. I'm talking about second point. Right? You're exporting this bottle. Just like you, China will also export, Germany will also export, UK will also export. So when you're exporting this bottle, if the value of your export is more than 3.25% of total global sales of this bottle, then you cannot provide export linked subsidies. You cannot provide export linked subsidies. That is the second point under agreement on subsidies and countervailing measures. Now there is one more agreement on agriculture. We will discuss this when I take up subsidies. Is it okay? I'll repeat it. There is one more agreement, very important agreement on agriculture, AOA, agreement on agriculture, AOA. This we will discuss when I take up subsidies. Trust me, we will discuss this in detail. Please do not worry about it. Okay, do not worry about it. We'll discuss this after some time. Okay, now the concept of economic integration. The concept of economic integration. Now, what do you mean by economic integration? It is a policy of a discriminatory reduction or elimination of trade barriers for members in the group. I'll explain this, just have patience. It is a policy of discriminating in favor of members in the group. So what do you mean by discriminating here? Let me give a very simple example. India will conduct a trade with UAE. India will conduct a trade with Australia, conduct trade with USA, UK, right, etc. Now, question number 1. Please tell me if you're reading newspapers. Does India have an agreement with UAE? Does India has India signed very recently a trade agreement with UAE? Again, I've not covered the agreements, I know that, but are you reading newspapers or not? India has a trade agreement with United Arab Emirates. They have. Some of you are saying no, my dear. In this year, it has become very famous. They have this agreement. Second question: has India signed an agreement with Australia? Has India signed an agreement with Australia? Again, answer is yes. India also has a trade agreement with Australia. In fact, because I'm discussing trade agreement with Australia and UAE here today, right? Again, some of you are talking about military exercises. My dear, I'm not talking about military here. I'm simply talking about pure economics. Trade agreement. I'm not talking about military exercises. I'm not talking about strategic alliances. No, I'm purely talking about economics. Trade agreements. India, UAE signed an agreement last year. India and Australia also signed a trade agreement last year. And because I'm talking about India, UAE, India, Australia, today's newspaper, if it is possible for you people, in business line, there's an article on India having trade agreement with UAE as well as Australia. If possible, please do read that. Okay, go forward now. But what is the meaning of trade agreement? What is the meaning of trade agreement here? Now, can I simply say that if this bottle will come from Australia, UK and USA to India, I'll repeat the statement. If this bottle will come from UK to India, USA to India and Australia to India. Now, because there's a trade agreement between India and Australia, right, is there a possibility that government of India will reduce the taxes on this bottle coming from Australia to 0%? Let me know. Possibility or not? Simple argument. Because we have an agreement. Understand this. Some of you are not understanding what I'm trying to convey to you people. Because we have an agreement with Australia, can we tell Australia, you export this bottle, I will reduce, right, the import duty to 0%. And because we do not have agreement with USA, I will impose 10%. Because we do not have agreement with UK, I will impose 10%. So this kind of favoritism, let me know, this kind of a discriminatory practice, right, can I call this as integration of economies? Let me know. This kind of favoritism, right, this kind of discrimination in favor of member countries in the agreement, can I call this as economic integration? Of course, yes, this is the idea of economic integration. How does economic integration happen? There are multiple levels, multiple stages. Follow this very carefully. First one is PTA, second one is FTA, third one is customs union, fourth one is common market, fifth one is economic union. These are the 5 stages, right? So let me start with PTA now. What is a preferential trade agreement? In preferential trade agreement, 2 countries or more than 2 countries will sign an agreement, but in this agreement, they will cover only a small part of the trade. They will not cover substantial trade. I will repeat the statement here. Please understand. In preferential trade agreement, 2 or more than 2 countries will come together. They will sign an agreement where they will cover only a small part of the total trade between the countries. They will not cover substantial trade. Sir, what do you mean by this? Let's take a simple example. Imagine there are 2 countries which are conducting trade. Understand this carefully. Imagine there are 2 countries which are conducting trade. Now let's say A will export $10 billion worth of goods and services to B, and B will export, let's say, $30 billion worth of goods and services to A. Please do let me know. Can I say total bilateral trade? Total bilateral trade is equal to $40 billion. I repeat, can I say total bilateral trade is equal to $40 billion? Now let's say both the countries will come together. They will cover goods and services worth $5 billion out of this. They will cover in the agreement only $5 billion worth of goods and services, and both the countries, they will say, we will reduce the tariff, we will reduce the import duties to 0% on $5 billion worth of goods and services. In this example, can I say we are not covering a large part of the trade, we are covering only a small part of the trade in the agreement? Let me know. In this example, total trade is $40 billion, right? But out of $40 billion, we are simply covering in the agreement trade worth $5 billion, which is just a part of the total trade, small part, not a substantial part. On the other side, what if both of the countries will sign one more agreement? Let's say another example, they will sign one more agreement where they will cover, let's say, trade worth $38 billion. Example 1 and example 2. In a second example, can I say most of the trade that is done between both the countries is covered in the agreement? Let me know. Second example. Example 2. In second example, most of the trade that is done between country and country B is covered in the agreement. So in example 1, only a part of the trade. Second example, most of the trade, substantial part of the trade. That is basically the difference between PTA and FTA. In PTA, right, have a look at this. We are not going to cover larger part of the trade. We are going to cover only a part, a small part of the trade. And in case of FTA, substantial means most of the trade that is done between the countries is covered in this agreement. So any recent example of these? India and Chile have a PTA. India and Chile have a PTA. Only a small part of the bilateral trade is actually covered. Whereas India and UAE, more than 90% of the bilateral trade is covered under the agreement. India and Australia, more than 90% of the bilateral trade is covered under the agreement. So can I call these agreements as a free trade agreements? Any problem? Can I call these agreements as a FTAs, a free trade agreements? So anybody has an issue as to why it is called as an PTA, why it is called as an FTA? Can I go forward now? Let me know. Can I go forward? Anybody has an issue? Please do let me know right now. Only 4 people have replied. If you do not have any problem, I'll go forward. And if you don't reply, automatically I'll go forward. Okay. So now, right, many of you will basically say, sir, but in the context of India and UAE, India and Australia, right, we generally don't come across the term FTA. We come across another term. What is another term? You will come across terms such as SECA and SEPA. Right? In the context of these kind of agreements, you will come across SECA and SEPA. What is this SECA and SEPA? This is comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. Comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. SECA stands for Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. And this stands for Comprehensive Economic, same thing, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Partnership Agreement. Now please understand this, whether they call it as a SECA, SEPA, etc. Both are types of FTAs only. They are FTAs. Then why do we have the name SEPA and SECA? What if, please understand this, rather than sticking only to trading of goods and services, rather than covering only goods and services in the trade agreement, they will cover investments. Think of it. They will cover investments. They will cover intellectual property rights. They will cover promotion of other types of relations between both of the countries. So think of this. rather than covering only goods and services in the trade agreement, we will cover more than goods and services. Can I call such agreements as comprehensive trade agreements? Let me know. I'll repeat it again, rather than simply covering goods and services in the agreement, I will go beyond goods and services. I will cover, right, intellectual property right. I will cover data sharing between the countries. I will cover, right, even investments between the countries, which means this agreement is not just limited to goods and services, it is a comprehensive agreement. That is the reason these types of terminologies, such as SEPA and SECA are used by the government. Okay, that is basically the idea of a SEPA and SECA. Both are basically the concept of FTAs only. Okay. Now there is a very interesting question. What is intellectual property? My dear, did you attend Friday's class? Those who are asking this question, answer to me. Did you attend Friday's class? Did we discuss the basic idea of intellectual property right? Then tell me. Patent, copyright, industrial design, all these are intellectual property rights. Sir, if any member will oppose a DSP, then such body will become dysfunctional. No, my dear, please understand. In case of a dispute settlement body, that is appointment of experts in the appellate body, you need consensus. You need consensus, and if you do not have consensus, if any member opposes for the appointment, then that will not be done. That appointment will not be done. But let me ask you one more question. Before I go forward, let me ask you one more question. In the last step of dispute settlement body, this step I'm talking, in the last step of dispute settlement body, do you require consensus here? Please think very carefully before answering. In the last step of dispute settlement body, do you need consensus here? Please think carefully before answering. That is the reason, right? Please think very carefully. You don't require consensus for accepting the report. I repeat, remember this carefully. You do not require consensus to accept the report. You do not require consensus. Why? My dear, think of it. Just think of it. Does it make sense or not? That is, let's say US has filed a complaint against India. And now in the dispute settlement body, the question is, the report is against India's policy. Will India accept the report? Vote in favor of the report? Let me know. Will India accept the report and vote in favor of report? No. So if there is a condition that, I repeat, if there is a condition that even in the dispute settlement body, if you require consensus, then trust me, there will be no consensus for the acceptance of the report. Right? No country, whenever the report is against them, no country will vote in favor of it. They will always oppose it. Yes or no? Think of it. Please think of it. If you are a member country, I have complained against you, will you accept the report at dispute settlement body? No, you will oppose it. So if you oppose it, then how can we accept under dispute settlement body? Then even if the whole process is over, right, DSP will become dysfunctional. That is the precise reason at DSP level, that is the last step, you don't require consensus for accepting the report. But on the other side, slightly tricky, remember the next point. If you want to reject the report, then you require consensus. Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. If you want the report to be accepted, you don't require consensus, right? 2 countries will oppose it, 3 countries will oppose it out of 160 plus countries. They will accept it. But if the report has to be rejected, then all the countries, all the member countries will have to vote against the report. That will not happen. Right? Rejection will not happen. Generally, they will accept the report. Okay, that is basically the concept of right, the acceptance or rejection of the report at the level of dispute settlement body. Okay, done. So again, basic idea is in PTA, small part of the trade will be covered. In FTA, substantial part of the trade will be covered. Now, one of the student asked, sir, is there any percentage number so that I can say it is PTA and FTA? My dear, there is no percentage numbers for this. There is no percentage number. right? Even you can check at WTO level, you can check at the Government of India, that is Ministry of Commerce document. They do not have percentages to distinguish between FTA and PTA. They simply say substantial part, most of the trade, if it is covered, they will say it is FTA, right? If lesser trade is covered, they will call it as PTA. Okay, after that, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. Both are type of FTAs only. Only difference is in FTA we talk only about goods and services, but in the context of SEPA and SECA, it is beyond goods and services. Many other components will be covered in the agreement. Now let me go forward. Customs Union. Imagine two countries, A and B, have signed FTA. Follow this carefully. Imagine two countries, A and B, have signed FTA, which means they are eliminating barriers, eliminating tariffs for trading between both of them. Now, what if I say next, both of these countries will have common customs policy for all the imports that will come into both of the countries? Think of it. Now, next step is A and B, who are already FTAs, who have already signed agreement. Now, both the countries will have the same policy regarding imports coming into their countries. Can I call this as same customs policy? Let me know. If both of them have the same policy regarding imports, can I call this as same customs policy? This is called as a customs union. Look at it. This is called as customs union. The partner countries, that is a trade partner countries, trade at a zero duty between themselves. Between A and B, they will trade at a zero. But they will have a common tariff structure for other countries. For example, let's say country C is there, country X is there, country Y is there, country Z is there. All of these are exporting goods and services to A and B. Now both A and B will have same policy for customs for all the goods and services coming from C, X, Y and Z. This is called as customs union. Sir, any example of a customs union? European Union. Remember, European Union is the best example for all the three in the slide. It is the best example for all the three. Do not remember multiple examples. Remember one example. As such, you will have to remember so many things. Do not worry about multiple examples. Just remember one example. European Union is basically the example of customs union. Next, common market. Sir, is India, Australia, India, USA an example of customs union? No. Point number one, India, USA does not have any trade agreement. India and Australia, it's a free trade agreement. It's a free trade agreement, right? It's not a customs union. Next, common market. What do you mean by common market? Now, this customs union, right? This customs union, that is country A and B, this customs union will have provisions, will make policies, right? Basically for free movement of labor, free movement of capital between the countries. I'll repeat it. What is a common market? It's a customs union, right? Wherein between these trading partners, people can move freely, labor can move freely, investments can move freely without any conditions, without any restrictions. Any example of this? Again, European Union is the best example. For example, imagine European Union has around 20 countries. Okay, imagine you are a citizen of one of the countries in the European Union. Can you cross the border, right? Search for job in another country which is part of European Union? Of course, yes. You do not require any visa for it. But on the other side, imagine now you want to go from India to USA for search of job. Do you require visa for it? I hope you understand the point I'm trying to make here. So in case of common market, it's a customs union where we will have provisions for the free movement of capital, free movement of people. Whereas in case of customs union, if it is only customs union, there will be no such facility. If it is FTA, there is no such facility. It is just dealing with a trade. That's it. Right? So common market is this situation. And finally, we have economic union. Now imagine both countries A and B will have only one currency. Both A and B will have only one monetary policy. Will have only one, right? Only one, right? Let's say parliament. Will have only one fiscal policy. Such type of union is called as economic union. And example for this is again European Union. Right, so simply remember one example for all of them, sufficient. And those are asking what is this, what is that? You check it, my dear. There are hundreds of trade agreements across world. I cannot tell you the distinguishing between all the 100 trade agreements, right? That will itself will take, let's say, 4 or 5 days. So you can check it. So this agreement is what? You check it, you will come to know. So argument is customs union, you will have common customs policy. For imports and exports, the same policy will be followed by trading partners. Whereas in case of common market, the idea of a common market is it's a customs union where you can freely move people across the border. You can move freely the capital across the border without any conditions or restrictions. Whereas in case of economic union, now the customs union will have a common currency, will have a common monetary policy, common fiscal policy, common parliament, that is called as economic union. Okay, right? That is basically the concept of economic union. So this is how economic integration will keep on taking place. Now please tell me, can I say as we move from PTA to economic union, don't you think complexity of the system will keep on increasing? I will repeat the statement. I will repeat the statement. As you keep on moving from the PTA to economic union, don't you think the complexity of the system will keep on increasing? Yes or no? Will it keep on increasing? Of course, yes, it will keep on increasing because in PTA, you're simply covering part of the trade. You're covering part of the trade. But in case of economic union, let's say 20 countries are coming together and they're having common currency. Do you think that is easy to implement? 20 countries are coming together and you have same fiscal policy. You have same parliament. You have same monetary policy. Do you think it is easy to implement all of this? Absolutely no. That's not easy. Right? So as you keep on moving from PTA to economic integration, higher level, right, the difficulty level, complexity in the system will keep on increasing. Done? So this, right, is a basic concept of economic integration. Please go through that. Next one. What has been the experience of India? Right, we'll discuss a lot of current affairs now. Listen carefully. We'll discuss a lot of current affairs. Listen carefully. What has been the experience of India in the context of FTAs? That is, right, FTAs have been signed by India, multiple FTAs. But what has been the experience? Let's try and understand. And why is that? Government of India now is trying to renegotiate most of these FTAs. Let's start. As per a Niti Ayog report, India's trade deficit with ASEAN, ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. India's trade deficit with ASEAN nations has actually increased. Now, what is this point? Let me explain this. Listen to me carefully now. Imagine there are two countries A and B. Before agreement, imagine A exported, right, let's say $10 billion worth of goods and services to B, and B exported, let's say $30 billion worth of goods and services to A. What is right, the total bilateral trade here? What is the total bilateral trade? Can I say total bilateral trade is 40 billion? Okay, total bilateral is 40. And point number two, how much is the trade deficit? How much is the trade deficit? Trade deficit is $20 billion. Right, trade deficit is 20 billion. Some of you are making a mistake in CSAT. Right, $20 billion. Right, and which means A has to pay extra $20 billion to country B. Now, let's say after the trade agreement is signed, A's exports to B will increase to $15 billion and B's exports to A will increase to $45 billion. Now question number 1. How much is the bilateral trade after the agreement? Can I say bilateral trade is $60 billion? Bilateral trade is 60 billion. And how much is the trade deficit? Trade deficit is $30 billion. Trade deficit is $30 billion. Now, right, one more question to all of you. Please think of it. When this agreement has been signed between A and B, which of the two countries you think is getting more benefit out of this agreement? Let me know. When this agreement is signed between A and B, which of the two countries do you think is getting more benefit out of this agreement? My dear, some of you are evaluating very wrongly here. Country B is getting more benefit. Don't say both are getting more benefit. How do you say both are getting more benefit when the question is which of the two is getting more benefit? Right? How do you say both? How do you say A? Those who are answering A, please let me know what is your argument, because A is not getting more benefit compared to B here. B is getting more benefit. How? Please look at the increase in the trade. Look at the numbers, no? That's the reason I'm taking numbers to make you understand. Look at the increase in the trade for B. Don't you think B has gained more advantage because of this agreement, because the exports have increased more for country B? So that is the reason B has got more advantage. B has got more benefit in the agreement compared to A. Right? Now, look at this argument and let me know whether this makes sense to you now. India's trade deficit with ASEAN countries between 2011 and 2017 actually doubled from $5 billion to $10 billion. The trade deficit between India and ASEAN doubled from 5 billion to $10 billion between 2011 and 2017, when the total trade also increased from $50 billion to $70 billion. So now tell me, please tell me, is India getting more benefit of this agreement or is ASEAN getting more benefit of this agreement? Right? Don't you think it is ASEAN economies which are getting more benefit of this agreement? Right? We are also getting benefit. I'm not saying we are not getting benefit. We are also getting benefit. But who is taking more benefit out of this agreement? ASEAN. Right? That is a concern for Government of India. And with signing of the agreement, our trade deficit has widened. Our trade deficit has widened from $5 billion to $10 billion. By the way, right, those who are asking, sir, when this agreement was signed? 2010. The agreement was signed in 2010, came into force in 2011. That's the reason the evaluation is from the 11 to 17. Point number 1. Why it has happened? What is the problem? You will understand sometime. Please have patience. Second one, the trade deficit. 21 sectors were covered under the agreement. The trade deficit in 13 of the sectors has actually widened. I'll repeat it. 21 sectors were covered under the agreement. In 13 of the sectors, the trade deficit is actually widened. Next, the FTAs have made imports much more cheaper. Correct or not? When you sign FTAs, you will reduce the taxes on the imports to 0%. So, right, basically the imports have become cheaper. And when imports become cheaper, what will happen to the domestic manufacturers in India? The domestic manufacturers have been affected now. Right, so these are some of the important observations that Niti Aayog says this has happened because India has signed multiple FTAs. What is the reason why we are not able to leverage, why we are not able to get the benefit? You will understand in some time. But any problem with this? Any problem? We have signed trade agreement. As a result of this trade agreement, trade has increased. So has been India's trade deficit. Imports have become cheaper. Domestic manufacturers are getting affected. Right? In many of the sectors which were covered under the trade agreement, the trade deficit has widened. That is basically the concern here. Why? What has happened? What is the problem? Let me make it clear to you why it is happening. I'll go back to previous slide. Please don't worry. First one, in case of India, cost of logistics is higher. Correct? Let me know. We have discussed the issue of logistics multiple times now. Under GST, under transportation, etc., etc. So cost of logistics in case of India is higher. And if the cost of logistics is higher, what do you think will happen to price of the bottle? Tell me now. If the cost of logistics is higher, what do you think will happen to market price of the bottle? It will increase. Export competitiveness will come down. All of you are okay with this? Export competitiveness will come down. Point number one. Point number two, interest rate in the domestic market is slightly higher compared to interest rates in other countries. Meaning what? Let me take a very simple example. Think of it and answer. Imagine there are two countries, A and B. Do not worry about anything else. Focus only on interest rate. Imagine there are two countries, A and B. Right? In country A, manufacturer will take a loan. Rate of interest is 6%. In country B, manufacturer will take a loan. Rate of interest is 4%. Please tell me, because of rate of interest, can I say cost of producing in country A will be higher than cost of producing in country B? Do not worry about anything else. Focus only on the interest rate. Right? Because I'm paying more interest rate in country A, don't you think the manufacturing cost would be higher? That is exactly what I'm saying here. Interest rate is higher. That will also reduce the competitiveness of exports. Third, trade barriers have been increased by many trading partners. Right? Many trading partners have increased trade barriers. What kind of trade barriers? Non-tariff trade barriers. Do you remember tariff as well as non-tariff? Let me know. Non-tariff trade barriers. Right? For example, now, right, what do you think government of India's policy is regarding importing of PCs, importing of laptops? So if government of India is going to impose a trade policy like that, don't you think imports into India will come down? Right? Don't you think these kind of barriers, if these are imposed against India's exports will also be affected? All of you are okay with this? Right? If these are imposed by other countries for India's exports would be affected. That is actually what is happening for India's exports. And finally, there is a global slowdown in the last couple of years. Right? There has been issue, right? Thanks to pandemic. There has been a slowdown in many countries. Many countries with whom we have agreements have entered into recession. And even today, many countries are experiencing higher inflation rate. As a result of all of this, right, the demand in their economy has fallen down and our exports to their country has fallen down. Right? So I hope you understand these are some of the issues which are faced by Indian exporters from those countries with whom we have agreement and even with those countries with whom we do not have agreement. Now, is the logic okay? Is the logic okay? Right? All of you are okay to understand and agree to the point. Even signing FTAs, we are not able to get more benefit. Even after signing the FTAs, we are not able to get more benefit. Other countries are getting more benefit. Apart from this, whether the FTA will become successful or not, it is it is dependent on multiple factors. I'll repeat the statement. Whether FTA will become successful or not, it is dependent on multiple factors. Point number one, you are covering a sector under FTA. Right? I'll give you an example. Please listen to carefully. You are covering a particular sector in the FTA. What if this sector is not very well developed in the country? Can I say, even after covering the sector under FTA, exports will not increase from this sector? I'll repeat the statement. Listen to me carefully. Right? You will sign an agreement. Out of, let's say, 20 sectors you are covering under the agreement, you are covering one sector which is not competitive, which is not developed in India, not very well developed in India. Even after signing FTA, don't you think our exports from this sector will not increase? Any problem with the point? Any problem, please do let me know. For example, you are manufacturing this bottle. Let's say you are manufacturing this bottle, you are not competitive. Right? Quantity production is very less. Right? Quality is also inferior. Prices are higher. Now, India will sign an agreement with Australia. Let's say hypothetically, sign an agreement with Australia. The bottle is covered as part of the agreement. Now, please tell me, If you're already not competitive, even after covering under the agreement, will your exports increase? I hope you understand. Will your exports increase? No. Why? You're not competitive. So whether the sector is competitive or not, that's very important. That will have a greater impact whether FTAs will provide benefit to the country or not. Second one is the member countries. Whenever they sign the agreement, the member countries will agree to reduce and eliminate tariff barriers. I'll repeat the statement. The member countries will agree to reduce and eliminate tariff barriers. What if they increase non-tariff barriers over a period of time? Right, because the agreement covers tariff barriers. We will reduce the taxes to 0%. Right, I will give you advantage compared to other country. Okay, I do agree. But what if you increase non-tariff barriers? If you increase non-tariff barriers, my exports will not increase. My exports again will start decreasing. That is the second concern. Third one, income of the countries with which the agreements are signed. This is very important. We'll connect it to current affairs. The income of the countries with which the agreement is signed. Now think of it and please do let me know. What do you think is better? India signing an agreement with a country whose GDP is $2 trillion. India signing an agreement with a country whose GDP is $30 trillion. Let me know. Please think of it and do let me know. What do you think is better for India? India signing an agreement with a country A, let's say GDP is $2 trillion. India signing an agreement with country B, whose GDP is $30 trillion. My dear, your focus should be this. Your focus should be the second one. Why? I'll tell you. Don't say country A. No, you should focus on $30 trillion. Why? Can I say scope of exports with the second country is very, very high? Think of it. Please think of it. The scope of exports with the second country is very, very high. Because this is a very big market for you. Very, very big market for you. And when this is a very large market, right, we can export more and more. That is the argument. And if you have seen India's trade agreements, this is the way forward. Please remember this. If you have seen India's trade agreement, which is the largest economy in the global market, USA. Correct? USA. Some of you are saying China. No, my dear. USA is the largest economy. And when USA has the largest economy, point number one, and we have a trade surplus with USA. Please understand this. We have a trade surplus with USA. Don't you think India should sign a free trade agreement with USA? Think of it. Please think of it. India has a trade surplus with USA and USA is the largest economy in the globe. Should you not sign a free trade agreement with USA so that your trade surplus will further increase by getting the concessions from USA? Do we have a trade agreement with USA? No. We do not have a trade agreement with USA. So please understand the logic behind why I said you should target larger economies. On the other side, which is the second largest economy in the global market, China. India is conducting trade with China, but India has a trade deficit with China. Meaning we are importing more compared to our export. Now tell me, should India sign a trade agreement with China? Think of it. Should India look into trade agreement with China? If you sign a free trade agreement, imagine without any concession. I repeat, imagine without any duty concession, already you have trade deficit. Further, if you sign the free trade agreement, can you imagine with duty concession to what extent they will sell their products in India? That is the reason this is not a priority for us. This is not a priority. What is a priority? This should be the priority. So remember this. Please remember this. Do not have any arguments against this. We have a trade surplus, my dear. Think of it. We have a trade surplus with USA. USA is the largest economy. So without any concessions, you have a trade surplus. Can you imagine with concessions what will happen to your trade? I hope you understand my point. Without any concession only, you have a trade surplus. Now imagine you sign the agreement and you get trade concessions. Can you imagine to what extent your trade will increase to USA? That is the advantage. That's the reason I said target bigger economies. Remember this, write it as a way forward if UPSC will ask you the question. What is the way forward? One, look at the larger economies. Please look at the larger economies. Right? UK is also one of the largest economy in the globe. USA is also one of the largest economy in the globe. Do we have free trade agreements with these economies? No. We do not have it as of now. So don't you think India should target at least those countries with whom we have trade surplus, try to enter into free trade agreement with them? That should be the point you should make. That should be the point you are trying to make. Okay? Income of the countries with which agreements are signed. That's also very important. Because if you sign an FTA with a very, very small country, very small country, whose GDP is just a fraction of yours, what is the scope of exports? Rather than this, target larger economies. The relaxation provided under the trade agreement and MFN for other countries. Very tricky statement. Let me explain it. Very tricky statement. Imagine this bottle is coming from China as well as Australia into India. Look at the name of the countries. Please look at the names of the countries. Imagine this bottle is coming from China as well as Australia into India. And let's say hypothetically, right now MFN rate is 5% or let's say 2%. MFN rate is how much? 2%, most favored nation rate. Now, India will sign an agreement with Australia, and as a result of this 2% will be reduced to 0% because the free trade agreement will reduce it to 0%. Now, please tell me, even after this, even after reducing it from 2% to 0%, do you think Australian products will be competitive compared to Chinese products? Please think of it. Do you think in this example, Australian bottle, the bottle imported from Australia at 0%, do you think it will be competitive with Chinese products? Chinese products, my dear, think of it. No. Trust me, they will not become competitive. Why? China produces everything in very large quantity. China produces everything in very large quantity. Their logistics is very cheaper. Logistics is very well developed in China, very cheaper for them. Cost of logistics is very less. As a result of that, their products, that is the reason in the global market, their products are very cheaper, very competitive in the international market. I'm not focused on the quality of the product. I'm focused on the quantity and the price of the product. So argument is, you might sign an agreement and you will reduce the tariff to 0%. But even there, it may not become competitive compared to other countries because the other countries which are not part of the trade agreement might be having very less cost of logistics, might be having very low rate of interest in their countries, might be having cheaper access to labor, might be having cheaper access to rare metals, rare minerals, etc. So don't you think because of that, you might sign an agreement with Australia, but even then, the products or the trade between India and Australia might not increase in certain products. These are some of the factors that you need to consider before signing FTA, before ensuring FTA will become successful or not. Done? So these are certain points. Please be very careful. All of these are connected to current affairs. All of these are connected to current affairs. Now we have seen there are problems. We have seen there are problems of India's exports. We have seen there is a scheme that is also problematic, that is MEI scheme. So what is the solution then? What has been done by the government? Let's start. Point number one, I'm discussing reforms now. Point number one, government has introduced a new scheme by the name of RODTEP. Right? And listen to this scheme very carefully. I'll ask you a question after this. Right? RODTEP scheme. Long form is remission of duties or taxes on export products. That is RODTEP. But what is the meaning of RODTEP? What is the benefit? Let me explain this to you. imagine you're manufacturing this bottle. Okay, imagine you're manufacturing this bottle so that you can export the bottle to foreign market. Now, when you manufacture this bottle, let's say you'll purchase 3 raw materials. Listen to me very carefully. You'll purchase 3 inputs, A, B, and C. You'll purchase 3 inputs. Now, let's say when you purchase A, you'll pay a tax of 10 rupee. When you purchase B, you will pay a tax of 20 rupee. And when you purchase C, you will pay a tax of 5 rupee. Simple numbers. Take simple numbers. So you will purchase A, B and C and pay a tax of 10, 20 and 5 rupees. Point number 3. Let's say both B and C are covered under GST. Both B and C are covered under GST, goods and services tax. Now, point number 4, think of it and please do answer to me. If B and C are covered under GST, when you decide what is the market price of the bottle, will you consider the taxes that you have paid on B and C? Please think of it. I'll repeat it again. B and C are covered under GST. So next question is, when you consider, right, to decide the market price for the bottle, will you include the taxes that you have paid on B and C? Let me see how many of you remember what we have discussed in the earlier weeks. You should not include. You should not include. Why? My dear, please let me know. Do you remember concept of input tax credit or not? Do you remember concept of input tax credit? Whatever taxes you pay on the inputs, provided it is covered under the GST, will you not get the credit of it? Will you not get it back? Of course, yes, that is input tax credit. So if 25 rupees given to you, if 25 rupees credit is given to you, why will you count 25 rupee in deciding the market price? Right? I hope you understand. You will not count it. On the other side, the product A, it is not under GST. It is not under GST. So when it is not under GST, is it okay if I say you might end up paying this tax at local level, that is at, let's say, municipalities? You might be paying this particular tax to the state government. You might be paying this particular tax to even central government. Doesn't matter. Whether you're paying to the local government, state government, central government, doesn't matter. What is the matter here? Matter is it is not covered under GST. And because it is not covered under GST, will you get input to tax credit of 10 rupee? Think of it. Will you get input to tax credit of 10 rupee? You will not get it. Or some of you are saying yes. How? How, my dear? This is very bad. Very bad, in fact. Why? This is my 4th week. We have discussed this, all of this in the 2nd week. All of this is over. I'm not introducing anything new to you. Please open taxation chapter and have a look at it. If something is not covered under GST, why will you get input tax credit on it? Why will you get input tax credit? You will not get it. Means what? Right? Understand this. If you decide the market price of the bottle to be 100 rupee, can I say out of 100 rupee, there is a tax of 10 rupee here? Let me know. I'll repeat it again. If you decide the market price of the bottle to be 100 rupee in this example, can I say out of 100 rupee, 10 rupee is because of the taxes? Any problem? And now if you export this bottle at 100 rupee, can I say in the market price 10 rupee is the tax, and this 10 rupee is called as embedded tax. Embedded means inserted. This is called as embedded tax. Any problem here? The 10 rupee which is part of the 100 rupee. 100 rupee is the market price. So the 10 rupee, I'll refer to this as embedded tax. Now simple question to you people. If there is embedded tax in the market price, do you think your export competitiveness will be higher? Think of it. If there is embedded tax in the market price of the product, do you think your export competitiveness will be higher? No, right? It will have lesser export competitiveness. On the other side, what if government says, whatever is the embedded tax, I will return it to you. Think of it. I'll repeat the statement. Whatever is the embedded tax, in this example, embedded tax is how much? 10 rupee. I will return the 10 rupee to you. Now, please tell me, will your market price automatically come down? And if your market price will automatically come down, can I say your export competitiveness will become higher? All of you are okay with this? Your export competitiveness will increase, right? This is basically idea of RODTEP. This is basically idea of RODTP, remission of duties and taxes on export products. Meaning what? Whatever taxes are embedded, I repeat, whatever taxes are embedded, right? Basically, these taxes are given back to the manufacturer or exporter. And because these embedded taxes are given back, you will not include this in the market price, your competitiveness will increase. And next important point, please think of it. If the market price will come down to 90 rupees, that is export market price will come down to 90 rupees, can I say out of 90 rupee, 0 rupee tax is included? I'll repeat the statement. Out of this 90 rupee, that is 100 rupee was actually the market price. The embedded taxes of 10 rupee are given back to you, which means when the market price is 90 rupee, out of this 90 rupee, there is no single rupee, not even a single rupee in the form of taxation. This is called as zero rating of exports. This is referred to as zero rating of exports. That is, the out of 90 rupee market price, 0 rupee taxes are there. There are no taxes in 90 rupees. This is called as a zero rating of exports. Any problem here? This is the beauty of RODTEP. Now, please understand the next point as well. Right? Let me explain this. Understand the next point as well. Instead of giving you subsidies, right? Do you remember MEIS? What used to happen under MEIS? On the value of the product, government used to give you subsidies. Instead of giving subsidies, in case of RODTEP, government is giving back the taxes to you. Simple. Instead of giving subsidies based on the value of the product, as it was done under MEIS, in RODTEP, government is giving back embedded taxes to you. So now tell me, is RODTEP violating WTO agreements? Think of it. Is RODTEP in any ways violating WTO agreements? It is not violating any WTO agreement. Some of you are saying yes. How? Tell me. Those who are saying yes, tell me how. Don't simply say yes. How? You tell me. Why? I will say no. Why? Any subsidies given to you under RODTEP? Tell me now. Is Government of India giving any subsidy based on the value of the product? Any calculation that you can show where I have told you that? No. In case of MEIS, if a bottle price was $100, you got 5. If bottle price 500, you will get 25. If bottle price becomes 1,000, you will get $50. But here in RODTEP, government is not giving subsidy to you. Government says you paid taxes, but you did not get ITC on it. So I will return that particular tax to you. So where is the violation of WTO guidelines here? Right? That is the precise reason Government of India has suspended MEIS and is giving RODTEP now. Is giving right the embedded taxes back right under RODTEP. Any problem here? Any problem here? Can we go forward? How this is calculated? There was a committee set up, GK Pillai committee. Remember this. There was a committee set up, GK Pillai committee. GK Pillai committee has given recommendations for what product, how much embedded taxes are there, how they should be provided back. right? There is a system which has been implemented based on the recommendations of GK Pillai committee. Done? Any other problem? How this embedded tax is calculated? That's what I'm telling you now. That's what I'm telling you. Listen to me. There was a committee set up, GK Pillai committee. GK Pillai committee has given a framework. How you are supposed to calculate, right? For one product to another product, the number will vary. All of you are able to understand this, right? You cannot have a single number for all the products. From one product to another product, the number will vary. So recommendations have been provided which have been accepted by the government of India. Okay. Any other question? Input tax will be credited to my account when I will collect output. My dear, that you are talking when you are selling within the domestic market. Right? You are arguing, sir, I will get input tax credit only when I will sell the product, get the money and give the tax to government. That is applicable when it is going to happen within the domestic market. Now, simple question to you. If you want to export this bottle to USA more and more, what is more favorable? You will export with the taxes on it or without the taxes on it? You think of it. Let me know. You will export this bottle to USA. And of course, we want to export more of the bottles. What makes sense to you? Should you export the bottle with the taxes, that is the prices including taxes, or prices excluding taxes? You should exclude taxes. You should not impose any taxes. That's the reason generally the policy is that when we export, we will not impose taxes. When we import, we will impose taxes. Right? Until and unless that is required, when you export it, you will not impose taxes. You will try to export it without taxes on the product. Okay, done? From where does the 10 rupee come? My dear, let me give a very simple example. Imagine this is petrol. Now tell me. Please tell me now. Imagine this is petrol. Do you think the taxes that you pay on the petrol, you will get ITC on it? Now this should be very clear to you. Let me know, right? Those are asking questions, etc., etc. Let me know. Imagine this is petrol. Product A is petrol. Will you get ITC on taxes that you have paid on petrol? Anybody in the classroom who says, sir, yes, I got ITC on petrol, please do let me know, my dear. Right? I will also file as you have filed to the same government as you have done. Because petrol, we do not have GST on it. What about electricity? Think of it. What about electricity? The charges, the taxes which are collected on electricity, government, that it has not covered it under GST. So there are so many products, right, or goods or services which are not covered under GST even today, which means you might be paying the taxes to the local government or the center or state, which you will not get ITC. I will call that as embedded taxes. That's it. Now, next point, next important point. Follow this very carefully. There is a term called as a scrip. There is a term called as a scrip, duty credit scrip. Understand this concept? Slightly tricky, understand it. There's a term called as a duty credit scrip. Now the duty credit scrip was issued earlier under MEIS, SEIS, is issued under RODTP as well. I will repeat the statement. The duty credit scrip was issued earlier under MEIS, SEIS, and is issued under RODTP as well. Now you will ask me, sir, what is this duty credit scrip? Think of it. Example 1. Example 1, please have a look at it and tell me, in this case, how much subsidies are given to me by the government? Please look at the PPT now and tell me, how much subsidies are given by government to me if I'm exporting the bottle? $5. Okay, 5%, that is $5. And in this example, how much embedded taxes will have to be given back to me by the government? 10 rupee. This example. I'm talking about this example now. 10 rupee. So whether it is $5 or 10 rupee, please understand, cash is not given by the government. I will repeat the statement. Cash is not given by the government. Right? Whether it is under RODTP or MEIS, SEIS, cash will not be given by the government. What they would do is, they will issue a certificate. what they will do is they will issue a certificate, and this certificate was called as a duty credit scrip. And what is basically the idea of a duty credit scrip? Let's say hypothetically, I have been issued, in this example, I have been issued a duty credit scrip of 10 rupee. Right? The certificate value is a 10 rupee. Now, tomorrow, if I import something, I will have to pay taxes to Government of India. All of you are okay with this? Tomorrow, if I import something, I'll have to pay taxes to Government of India. Now, let's say I will have to pay 10 rupees to Government of India. So instead of paying cash from my pocket, I can simply use this duty credit receipt to pay taxes to government. Please do let me know. Anybody is finding this difficult? I'll repeat it again. Under SCIS, MEIS, as well as under RODTP, government will give certain money to you. They will give certain money, but not in the form of cash, in the form of duty credit scrip. And the use of the duty credit scrip was, when you import something, you'll have to pay taxes to government. So instead of paying taxes, you can directly use this duty credit scrip to pay taxes to government. This is basically the idea of a duty credit scrip. Now, if you're still confused, have you heard of Sodexo coupons? Let me know. Have you heard of Sodexo coupons? Very, very famous earlier, not so much today. Sodexo coupons. Right? Sodexo coupons are basically coupons. Coupons means certificates. Right? If you purchase something from the market, instead of paying cash, they used to pay in the form of Sodexo coupons. Now, is it relevant for UPSC? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Don't worry. But it is also a similar concept. So, argument is simple. Government will issue duty credit scrip. You will use it when you have to pay certain taxes to government. Now, some of you will say, sir, you say, I can use a duty credit scrip, right, to pay taxes when I import the product. What if I'm not importing anything? What if I'm not importing anything? Very well. If you're not importing anything, you can transfer the duty credit scrip to somebody else. You can sell the duty credit scrip to, right, another importer. So they will take the duty credit scrip, they will pay the money to you, and when they will import it, they will use the duty credit scrip to pay the taxes. That's a basic idea. Now, point number 2 in regards to this. Point number 2. Earlier, I repeat, earlier, duty credit scrips were physically issued. Can I say this is physical duty credit scrip? Please do let me know. Can I say this is a physical? Physical means in physical form, the scrip has been issued. But now under RODTP, they're not issuing a physical duty credit scrip. They're simply issuing it in digital form. Digital form means what? You will have an account with the DGFT. There is an authority, please remember, there is an authority by the name of Directorate General. Directorate General for Foreign Trade. Very, very famous. Director General for Foreign Trade. DGFT. Right? There is an authority of for promoting foreign trade, DGFT. Okay, now any exporter or importer will have an account. They will have an account with the DGFT. Into this account, these digital scripts will be transferred. Right? That is basically the idea of a duty credit scrip. The credits can be issued and credits can be used to pay basic customs duty on imported goods or transferred to other importers. The government had set up earlier GK Pillai committee, which has recommended the methodology as to how right the embedded taxes should be calculated, and they have given recommendations on it. The embedded taxes, that is basically those taxes which are not exempted, which are not getting refunded, will be refunded under the scheme. That is the beauty of RODTEP. And this scheme will cover those embedded taxes which are paid at the central level, state level, as well as union level, local level. Right? So this is basically idea of RODTP. Any problem? And before I go forward, think of it. Can I say if I'm moving, I'll repeat the statement. If I'm moving from MEIS to RODTP, if I am suspending MEIS and I'm introducing RODTEP, can I use a statement from subsidies, that is from incentivization system to remission system? Let me know. From the situation where I used to incentivize, now I'm remitting. Remitting, man, means giving. I'm remitting back the taxes. So earlier I used to incentivize, I used to give subsidies. Now I'm not giving subsidies. I'm simply returning the embedded taxes to the exporter. This is very important. Why? When I take up FTP, this statement will be used in FTP. Right, in foreign trade policy, they are using this statement. There, don't ask me, sir, what is the meaning of incentivization? What is the meaning of remittance, etc. Right, this is the reason why they will use the statement. Okay, done. So this is one very important reform, right, regarding promotion of exports. Can you repeat embedded taxes? I'll repeat it again. Simple logic. Listen carefully. I will repeat embedded taxes. You'll purchase a lot of inputs. And when you purchase a lot of inputs, you'll pay taxes on them. Some of the taxes are covered under GST. You will get the credit of it. You will get the tax back. But for some of them, you could have paid to the state government, central government, or local government. These are not covered under GST, which means these will not be credited back. These will not be given back. Such taxes, you will count it. You will include it when you decide the market price of the product. That is called as embedded tax. Okay. Next, PLI. Production linked incentive. PLI basically means production linked incentive. Now, what is this PLI? Point number one. Government of India says our import dependence is very, very high. Remember this. Our import dependence is very high. Second, whenever we import these goods into the domestic market, dollar outflow is also very high. So dollars are going out, imports are coming in. Rather than this, what if I identify certain sectors? I repeat, rather than importing it, what if I identify that sector and promote production of goods in the domestic market? Let me know. Rather than importing it, what if I identify this sector and provide certain incentives to promote production of same goods in the domestic market? For example, sir, what do you mean by this? Until couple of years ago, we used to import mobile phones into India. Correct? Lot of imports. Until couple of years ago, we used to import lot of mobile phones into India. Now, Government of India says, rather than importing, what if I promote production of mobile phones in India? So point number one, if they will promote production of mobile phones, can I say import dependence will come down? Let me know. Can I say import dependence will come down? And point number two, if I promote production of mobile manufacture in India, what about investment? What about investment? Investment in Indian market will increase. Third point, rather than importing, I will start exporting now. So can I say it will add to inflow of dollars into India? It will add to inflow of dollars. We'll start earning rather than spending on mobile phones as Indian economy. Right? We will export, we will bring dollars into India. What about employment generation? What about employment generation? Of course, yes, we'll be able to generate lot of jobs because of this. These are basically the objective of production linked incentive. These are the objectives of production linked incentives. Under PLI, the objective of Government of India is very simple. As of now, they have identified 14 sectors. Okay, they have identified 14 sectors, 14 industries. And Government of India says in these 14 industries, we will promote production of the goods. Goods, mind you, services are not covered as of now. We will promote production of goods so that our import dependence will come down. Rather than importing this, we'll produce and start exporting. Investment in India will increase, right? We will be earning lot of dollars because of this, and we will also be able to generate a lot of jobs because of this. That is essentially the concept of production linked incentive. Now, please understand the next point as well. How will the government of India promote investment? Why should the private sector invest here? Government says, I will provide incentives. Very simple. I'll provide incentives. And please remember this, the amount of incentives that are going to be given by the government is not fixed, is not the same for all the 14 industries. From one industry to another industry, it could be 3%, it could be 5%, it could be 4.5%. From one industry to another industry, the incentive provided will change. Do not by heart incentive numbers. But what is more important? Please remember this. Under PLI, Government of India guarantees cash incentive. I hope you understand. Cash incentives are provided by the government. That's the biggest benefit. Not scripts. I hope you understand. Not a script. Incentives are not given in script. Incentives are given in cash. For example, imagine under the PLI, you're a mobile manufacturer. You have met all the conditions. You have met all the conditions which are put by the government. Now government will make a calculation and say government has to give you 5 crore rupee in the form of subsidy. Sorry, incentive, not subsidy, incentive. 5 crore rupee in the form of incentive. Now government will not give 5 crore worth of a certificate. No. Government will give you 5 crore into your account. Government will simply transfer this 5 crore into your account. That is how cash subsidies are provided. Cash incentives are provided under PLI. But on what basis the incentives are calculated? On what basis the incentives are calculated? There are conditions. You will have to invest at least this much amount every year. I hope you understand. You will have to invest at least this much amount every year. That condition you will have to meet. In fact, I believe last week I've given an article on this only. Have you checked it? Last week I've given an article on this only, because under this, annual investment targets are set up. You will have to meet investment target. Second, you will have to have incremental sales. What do you mean by incremental sales? Compared to a specific year, compared to a base year, now you should have sold more worth of goods under PLI. I will repeat the statement. Listen carefully. Those who are typing, listen first. Right? You are not listening. I'm discussing that only. I am mentioning long form of PLI. Two students are typing. What is incremental sales? Right? So listen first. I'm mentioning the long form. Point number one. I'm mentioning point number one. You are reading and asking me, typing. What is incremental sale? Which means you are not listening. Listen first. What is incremental sales? Let's say you are a company who has been identified under PLI. You are covered under PLI. Let's say this year. Right? Let's say 2023. Hypothetical number. Let's say this year. And this year, your revenue, your sales amount was 100 crore rupee. Your revenue was 100 crore. Next year, if you sell more than 100 crore, you should sell more than 100 crore. I will give you incentives. And how I will calculate incentives? Imagine you will sell 120 crore rupee. I will not give incentives on the full 120 crore. I will find out what is incremental. Incremental means extra. Incremental means addition. Right? What is this additional sales you have done compared to last year? So please tell me, what is the additional sales in this example that you have done? Can I say you have made a sales of incremental sales of 20 crore? All of you are okay with incremental sales term now? Compared to the base year, how much extra sales you have done? That is called as incremental sales. And on this incremental sales, let's say Government of India has announced incentive of 5% to you. That means how much money you will get from Government of India? You will get 1 crore rupees from Government of India. All of you okay? Or some of you are calculating wrong. 20 crore rupee 5%. 20 crore rupee 5%. My dear, it's a simple multiplication. 20 crore into 5. 5 into 2, 10. Right? Divided by 100. It should be 1 crore. I hope you understand. Simple CSAT calculation. Some of us saying it should be 2 crore, it should be 2.5. No, it is 1 crore only. So 1 crore, government will provide this, transfer this into your account. Right? This is basically the concept. This is basically the concept of, right, production linked incentive. Any problem with this? Any problem? Sir, but the parameters are for cash incentive. How government will calculate normal incentive? What is normal incentive? You tell me. Here it is, this way it is calculated. What do you mean by normal incentive here? I do not understand. This is how government says we'll calculate it. What do you mean by normal incentives? Right? So basically this is how cash incentives are calculated based on incremental sales. Okay. So the incentives will vary from one sector to another sector. That should be logical. Can you provide same amount of incentive for all the sectors? No. From one sector to another sector, incentives will vary. Some of the sectors will have 5%, some sectors will have 3%, some sectors will have 4.5%. So one sector to another sector, incentives will keep on varying. PLI was launched covering 3 industries. Today, it is covering 14 industries. PLI was launched initially covering 3 industries. Today, it is covering 14 industries. Right? That is basically the concept of production linked incentive. Sir, what is the difference between incentive and subsidy? Subsidy, right? Understand the basic difference is incentives are generally associated with your performance. Incentives are connected to your performance, whereas subsidies are not connected, may or may not be, right? May or may not be connected to your performance. For example, PM Kisan scheme. Please tell me, PM Kisan scheme, all of you heard of it? Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Have you heard of this or not? So under PM Kisan scheme, do you think government will give you 6,000 rupee based on the performance of the farmer? Under the scheme, 6,000 rupees given. Right? For every farmer, government gives 6,000 rupee. Do you think government will calculate, okay, farmer 1, this person worked all the 365 days last year, so give him more. Farmer number 2, very lazy farmer, he has worked only 6 months, don't give right more money to him. No way. Right? So subsidies are generally independent, generally, because there are certain types of subsidies which are given based on performance also. I'll come to that. Right? So generally subsidies are independent or may not be dependent on the performance, whereas incentives are dependent on performance only. For example, many of you might be working in a company. Correct? Many of you might be working in a company. Don't you think the incentives that are going to be given to you this year will depend on how much work you have done? I hope you understand. Incentives are connected there that way. Okay, now, right, this is basically the argument of PLI. On paper, it looks very nice. On paper, PLI looks very nice. But are there any concerns regarding this? Yes, there are concerns. Point number 1, right? Under PLI, we want, right, the goods to be produced in India. Rather than producing, what if the good is assembled in India? Think of it. This is a concern now for government of India, a bigger concern. Under PLI, our argument is we will produce goods in India. Rather than producing, what if the good is assembled in India? That is happening. Can I give you a context here? Mobile manufacturing, mobile assembly by Chinese companies. Mobile manufacturing by Chinese companies. There is an allegation which has started now. These Chinese manufacturers, they are not producing mobile in India. What they are doing is they are simply importing the components from China and they are assembling the product in India. All of you understand the term assembly or not? Please do let me know. Right? All of you understand the term assembly? For example, sir, what do you mean by assembly? Right? I'll give a very simple example. Right? Let's say this is a product. So there are 2 parts to the product. All of you will agree? There are 2 parts to the product. Manufacturing means I will manufacture the bottle in India. Cap in India, and I'll manufacture the lower part. Then I will fit it together and sell it. This is manufacturing. Assembly means I will import the cap from China I will import the steel component from China, simply pack it together like this and sell it to you. Do you understand the difference between manufacturing and assembly now? Anybody has difficulty? Right? So concern is Chinese manufacturers, they are importing components and they are assembling in India. And they are taking subsidies, they are taking incentives from government of India. So that was the objective of PLI. Was that the objective of PLI? Of course no. The objective of PLI was to promote manufacturing in India. So now one concern is many of the companies are not manufacturing, they are assembling in India. That is a concern. Point number 2, right? Many of the companies have complained now, they are not able to meet conditions. They are not able to meet the conditions. They are not able to meet the conditions, right, which have been imposed by the government of India to get incentives under PLI. For example, 1 year to next year, investment has to be done. Many companies are saying we are not able to meet these criteria. These are very strict, very difficult for us to meet. Point number 3, the objective of PLI was to reduce import dependence. But in fact, what has happened post that is our import dependence has actually increased. I will repeat the statement. The point of PLI, objective of PLI was to reduce import dependence. But after introducing PLI itself, our imports from China have increased. Right? So don't you think, right, rather than achieving import independence, now we are making more import dependence here. So these are some of the concerns which have been raised regarding the functioning of PLI. That is the reason, please do let me know, in current affairs, are you coming across articles where government of India is saying we are looking at restructuring of PLI? Let me know. Please do let me know. Are you coming across the articles where government of India is saying we are reviewing how the PLI is functioning and we want to rework the PLI. We want to restructure PLI. Right? That is actually happening now. That is in fact happening now. They are reviewing all these PLI, right, schemes, and they want to restructure, address wherever there is a lack or there is a problem. How it will be done, right? What will be done by the government? You will have to wait and see. That will happen over a period of time. Okay. Now, one more scheme associated with promotion of exports, interest equalization scheme. Interest equalization scheme. What is this interest equalization scheme? If you remember earlier, I said a manufacturer, that is an exporter, will take a loan. Exporter will take a loan from a bank. If the rate of interest on the loan is higher, it will have an impact on the competitiveness of the exports. Is it okay? We'll take a break after this. Listen, let me finish this. After this, we'll take a break. I'll repeat it. If you have listened to me carefully, I said earlier, exporter will take a loan, and if the rate of interest on the loan is higher, it will affect the export competitiveness of exporter. How do we address it? There is a scheme by government of India, interest equalization scheme. Interest equalization scheme. And under interest equalization scheme, what government says is, I'll take a hypothetical number here. Imagine the bank will provide a loan at 7% rate of interest. Government says out of 7%, I will give bank 3% rate of interest. The government says they will provide 3% of the rate of interest to the bank. Now, if the government will provide 3% rate of interest to the bank on this loan, can I say effective rate of interest on the exporter will come down to 4%? Please think of it. Effective rate of interest on this loan to the exporter, don't you think it will come down to 4%? And if the rate of interest will come down, what will happen to competitiveness of exports? Competitiveness of exports is expected to be increasing. This is basically the idea of interest equalization scheme. Anybody has an issue? This is basically the idea of interest equalization scheme. Now, before going forward, right, certain students were asking this kind of a question earlier. Let me address it. Whether it is RODTEP or whether it is interest equalization scheme, please think of it. Is it fair to provide these kind of schemes for all the exports in India? Think of it. Is it fair? Fair. That is important. Is it fair to provide these kind of incentives to all the exports? No, it is not fair. Is it fair to provide it to all the exporters? Again, it is not fair. That is the precise reason. That is the precise reason. There will be certain identified beneficiaries in all of them. Right? Everybody will not get these benefits. Government will identify the beneficiaries. In case of RODTP, right, a certain number of commodities are covered under RODTP. In case of right, interest equalization scheme, MSME sector, micro, small, medium enterprises. MSME stands for micro, small, medium enterprises. So MSME exporters will get the benefit, and other exporters who are manufacturing and exporting 400 plus identified products will get the benefit of this. So it should make perfect economic sense to you, right? It's not fair to provide incentives for every exporter. Why should you provide? Right? If Tata is exporting, let's say Tata company is exporting, do you think Tata company requires assistance from the government? But on the other side, if a very small manufacturer is exporting, don't you think government should provide assistance there? That is the precise reason. Was introduced as a part of Foreign Trade Policy 2015. It was introduced as a part of Foreign Trade Policy 2015. Even today it is applicable. It has been extended by RBI till the end of financial year 24. It has been extended till the end of financial year 24. Exporters will be given interest subsidy. It is available for all the MSME exporters and also the exporters of 416 products. Under this, the banks will give loan to exporters at a lower interest rate and are paid by the government that interest subsidy. This is basically interest equalization scheme. Done? Right, so these are some of the initiatives or reforms that have been taken up by Government of India to promote more and more exports from India. There is one more policy regarding promotion of export, Foreign Trade Policy 2023. Foreign Trade Policy 2023, very small concept. We will discuss that after the break. But before I take a break, if there are any concerns, please do let me know right now. Sir, is there any reason for very high import duties on cars? Yes. Government of India says these cars which are imported are luxury products. If you can import the car, it's a luxury product. So that is the precise reason government imposes heavy taxes on imported cars in India. Okay. Sir, in PLI second point, under the scheme, incentives are provided by the government provided you meet certain conditions. For example, from 1 year to next year, you will have to invest so much amount of money. From 1 year to next year, right, you will have to increase the sales above 100 crore rupee. If you meet only these conditions, then right, the incentives are provided to you. Okay. Can I say incentive also depending on profit of exporter? In what context? Right? If you're asking, sir, whether the government will provide incentives based on the profit of the company, no. On the profit of the company, government doesn't provide incentives. I'm not getting any news articles from you. I'm not personally giving any news articles to anyone. If you have attended Friday's class, I repeat, if you have attended Friday's class, automatically you should have got the list of the articles. Trust me, I have not identified any few people in the classroom. I will call them in secret and give them the articles. Absolutely no. Right? It is uploaded. The link has been uploaded in Friday's class. And multiple times the link has been uploaded. Okay? Sir, what is gilt-edged security? Gilt-edged security is nothing but government security. Gilt-edged is nothing but government security. What if high incremental sales are showed by manufacturers? Has Government of India any way to check this? My dear, if you are going to show high incremental sales, documents have to be provided to you. If you are going to record higher sales, it also means higher profit. Higher profit means higher taxes. So I hope you understand that all the records are submitted to the government. Okay. Okay. Done. Can we? Okay. So let's take a break now. We'll restart the discussion at 8:16. We'll restart the discussion at 8:16. Please join back. And those who are asking, sir, article, right? Where is the link for the list of the articles? The link has been uploaded just right now. Please check in your comment section. The link has been uploaded just 10 seconds ago. Please download using the link. Okay, done. Take a break. We'll there is a free trade agreement. We are yet to discuss that. Let's finish it. That will be end of the chapter for you. Okay. Now, what is this free trade agreement? Point number one. Every now and then, Government of India comes out with a policy to promote exports. Okay. So every now and then, Government of India comes out with a policy to promote exports from India. The exports could be goods, export could be services, whatever. We want to export more. And that is called as a free trade policy. Free trade policy. The previous free trade policy, I'll start using the short form now, FTP. The previous free trade policy, FTP, was supposed to be implemented from 2015 to 2020. 5 years. Generally, we have a trade policy of 5 years. That's a convention. It's not a rule. It's a convention. It's what we have been following. So we had a foreign trade policy of 5 years, 2015 to 2020. Now, please let me know. Please do let me know. This foreign trade policy, which was supposed to be closed, which was supposed to be finished in 2020, what do you think happened in 2020? What do you think happened in 2020? All of you know the answer to this? COVID, pandemic. And as a result of this, same foreign trade policy was extended from 2020 till 2021. Still COVID was there. Then it was further extended to 2022. Still there was a problem with the pandemic or after effects of pandemic. So Government of India finally this year has announced a new foreign trade policy. New foreign trade policy. Now, what are the important points regarding this? Point number one. Under the new foreign trade policy, we want to promote more and more exports from Indian market to international market. How much is the target now? We want to export $2 trillion worth by 2030. We want to export a $2 trillion by 2030. In fact, earlier, the previous foreign trade policy had a target of $900 billion. Now we want to make it $2 trillion by 2030. That's point number one. Second, the scheme is open-ended. I repeat, the scheme is open-ended. Open-ended means what? Please look at it. Can I say earlier scheme? The previous scheme had a time period of 5 years. Let me know. Please look at the slide and answer. The earlier scheme had a sunset provision, that is, had a time period of 5 years. Now this new scheme, new policy, government says no sunset. No sunset means no end date. This is the policy which will keep on implementing, but with making changes at appropriate times. There is no due date. There is no expiry date for this new foreign trade policy. It is open-ended, no sunset date. And over a period of time, whenever policies are over, the policies have lived their time period, policies are no more useful, policies are implemented for a certain time period, will keep the changing policies, that is the schemes under the foreign trade policy. Any problem with the point number two? There is no sunset clause, there is no sunset date. It will continue to be implemented, right? There is no withdrawal date for this. But the schemes under this, we can keep on chopping and changing the schemes. Point number three. Now we are going to shift under this from incentives to remission. Anybody has a problem? Let me know. From incentives, we are going to shift to remission now. Right? So we will have remission schemes. We will not have incentive schemes. We will also promote ease of doing business. We will also promote ease of doing business. Arre Baba. How incentives to remission? My dear, what did you listen to in the last 1 hour? If you ask me how, that shows to the extent you are attentive in the classroom. The kind of attention you are having in the classroom, that is the indicative of it. Did we not discuss why do we say incentives to remission under the new scheme? Did we not discuss this? In fact, I told you later in the classroom I will use it. Don't ask me. But anyways, sir, I will ask it. Because we are shifting from MEIS to RODTP, it is incentives to remission only. So we are going to promote incentivization now, right? Sorry, we are going to promote remission of the duties now, not incentives, because that might simply be violating certain provisions of WTO. We will also implement a lot of reforms to promote ease of doing business. We will also implement lot of schemes to promote export initiatives. For example, let me add a point here. Can I say, right, one of the ways through which government of India is trying to promote more and more exports will be the scheme of PLI? Let me know. One of the ways through which government of India is trying to promote more and more exports from India is scheme of PLI. What about Make in India? Right? What about the initiative called as Make in India? I'm pretty sure you heard of it. We have not discussed, I know that. What about Make in India? There also we want to produce more so that exports will increase. Right? What about a scheme such as interest equalization scheme? So we will implement further, going on further, we will also implement many more schemes using which we will promote more and more exports. In fact, I will add one more initiative here related to this point. Have you heard of one district, one product? I will not ask you, have you learned? I am asking you, have you heard of one district, one product? And you should have learned it also. Why? I'll tell you. Last month, did I take a webinar on economics? Let me see. Right, last month's webinar on economics, did we discuss one district, one product scheme? So in the classroom, I have not discussed. I know that. In the classroom, I have not discussed. I'll discuss it. But in the webinar, it is already covered. And it is your duty to join the webinars every day. Sorry, every Tuesday and every Thursday. It's your duty. Please be very careful. Right, so we'll cover ODOP later also. Don't worry. We are targeting districts also now. We want to make districts as export hubs now. We want to ensure from every district in India, exports will keep on happening. Right? We will facilitate e-commerce exports. We will boost manufacturing sector under this. We will also streamline SCOMET policy. Right? We will also streamline SCOMET policy. What is this, a SCOMET policy? Under the SCOMET policy, please understand, we will use a term dual use items. There are certain items called as dual use items. What do you mean by dual use items? These items can be used for civilian purposes, that is for production, consumption, etc. This can be used even for defense purposes. So any example of a dual use item? Let me give a very simple example. What about drones? Let me know. What about drones? Right? Can I say drones can be used for civilian purposes? Drones can be used for defense purposes. What about nuclear material? Arre Baba, nobody is answering. What about nuclear material? Can I say nuclear material can be used for civilian purposes as well as defense purposes? So these are generally called as dual use items. Dual use items. Under the SCOMET policy, if you are basically trading, right? If you're trading, importing, exporting these kind of dual use items, you will have to get a license from DGFT. I will repeat the statement. Under the concept of SCOMET, right, you will have to take a license first to deal with these dual use items. Under SCOMET, we have divided all these dual use items. There are categorizations. Category 0, category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. like this. We have multiple categories of these products, and because these are dual use items, you will have to take a license if you want to deal with these dual use items in imports and exports from DGFT. So Government of India says under foreign trade policy, we will also streamline the SCOMET policy. Under the FTP, we are going to effectively implement the SCOMET policy by streamlining the SCOMET policy. Okay, right. So these are certain very important points regarding foreign trade policy 2023. Very important. Please do keep on reading about this. Don't ask me what has been the performance as of now, because we have started implementing very recently. Starting 1st of April, we have started implementing it. So there is a long way to go. Long way to go before you start understanding, evaluating what is actually the performance of this foreign trade policy. Okay, done? Right, so these are basic concepts related to new foreign trade policy. This is the end of the chapter for you. Right, this is basically the end of the chapter for you people. From whom should we take licenses? DGFT, Director General for Foreign Trade. Director General for Foreign Trade. What is the full form of SCOMET? Right, special chemicals, organisms, right, materials, equipments, or technology. And that is basically the full form of SCOMET. Okay, what is the current export of India in terms of dollars? Last year, we were able to export merchandise of more than $420 billion. Last year, we were able to export merchandise of more than $420 billion and services of more than $300 billion. But again, from one year to next year, the numbers will keep on changing, right? You do not have to remember. Last year, it became very important. Last year, it became very important for a very simple reason. For the first time ever, India's merchandise exports crossed more than $400 billion. Right? It is more than $400 billion. Okay, done? So this is the end of the chapter. We'll cover questions at the end of the class today. Right? Don't worry, I'll come back to this. Now, the next chapter I want to discuss is subsidies. Now, before I go forward, there are certain students in the classroom who keep on reminding me that, sir, you did not cover this, you did not cover that. My dear, please tell me today, do you think today's class, economics class, is the last class? Let me know. Do you think today's economics class is the last class for you? Did I say after 9:30 today, I will never be visible to all of you? No classes of economics? No. Then why do you keep on telling me, sir, you did not cover planning? Did I say I will not cover planning? Did I ever say that? No. In fact, I will cover it, but you should have patience for it. Right? Some of you are reminding me, sir, in subsidies, there is a term called as a escape clause. Right? You did not cover it. My dear, did I say about agriculture subsidies, I will cover it later? Tell me, no? Did I say or not? Did I inform you people in agriculture sector, there is one agreement on agriculture related to WTO. And did I tell you clearly, I will cover it later? In fact, you people are so much interested in reading while I'm discussing. What is written in the slide? Let me know. What is written in the slide regarding farm subsidies? Right? Discussed in subsidies. Right? But you will have to wait. Right? Don't keep on reminding me, hey, you skipped this. Hey, you said you will cover this, you did not cover it. I will cover it. Have patience. I will cover it. You don't have to be worried. Okay, done. So let me start with the next chapter. Questions are there. We'll come back to this. Please don't worry. I will cover these questions. You don't have to be worried about it. I will cover it. Okay. Next chapter is subsidies. What we will be discussing under subsidies? What is the concept of subsidies? Why should you provide subsidies? What is the problem with subsidies? What are the types of subsidies? What is a direct benefit transfer? Have you come across this? Very often this is cited in the newspaper. Direct benefit transfer. What is the concept of e-rupee? And to answer your question, sir, where you will cover agriculture subsidies, last point. The connection between WTO and subsidies, we'll discuss agriculture. Okay, let's start now. What do you mean by subsidy? Subsidy is an assistance, is a benefit that is provided by the government, either in the form of a cash or in the form of a kind to a beneficiary. I will repeat the statement. What is a subsidy? It is a benefit, it is an assistance that is provided by the government, either in the form of a cash or in the form of, right, let's say kind to a beneficiary. Sir, what do you mean by cash or kind benefit? Let me ask you a very simple question here. All of you heard of PM Kisan scheme, Correct? Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, PM Kisan Initiative. Now under PM Kisan scheme, Government of India will provide 6,000 rupees subsidies in the subsidies assistance to the farmer. Can I call this as a cash subsidy? Let me know. Can I call this as a cash subsidy? Of course, yes. But on the other side, all of you heard of NFSA? Let me know now. All of you heard of NFSA, right? What is NFSA? National Food Security Act. We'll discuss this separately. Don't worry. We'll discuss NFSA separately. National Food Security Act. Under National Food Security Act, Government of India provides 5 kgs of food grains today free of a cost. Under NFSA, National Food Security Act, Government of India provides 5 kgs of food grains free of a cost. Can you call this as a cash subsidy? No. Can I call this as a kind subsidy? All of you okay now? So subsidies can be provided either in the form of a cash or in the form of a kind to the beneficiaries. That is called as subsidy. What is the need for subsidy? Why should government provide subsidy? One, government would want to promote production and export. Right? Government wants you to produce more. Government wants you to export more. Government might give you subsidies. Government would provide certain comfort for the poor people in India. Because let's say poor people, if government will not provide any food grains to the beneficiaries here, don't you think the poor households will find it very difficult to purchase food grains at market prices? So Government of India will provide free food grains in order to provide comfort to the people. Some of you are correcting me. You're saying, sir, food grains are not given free of a cost. It is given at 2 rupees. No, my dear, under NFSA for this year. Check it and correct me if I'm wrong. Under NFSA for this year, government said 5 kgs free food grains will be given. All the terms are very important. Under NFSA for this year, free food grains will be given 5 kgs. Until last year, they were given at 3 rupees per kg, 2 rupees per kg and 1 rupees per kg. This year 5 kgs free food grain. This is there. Please check it. So understand the logic here. Why will Government of India provide subsidies? Right? One, to provide welfare to the people, to promote production, to promote consumption of certain goods or services in the market, to achieve social welfare, to achieve social objectives, to control the prices of the goods or services in the market. Otherwise, people cannot afford these products, etc. Right? So these are some of the reasons why government will provide subsidies. On the other side, are there any problems with providing subsidies? Are there any issues regarding subsidies? One, think of it and please tell me, what do you think is a better system? Providing LPG subsidy. All of you heard of LPG? Providing LPG subsidies for all the houses in India, or providing LPG subsidy only for poor houses in India? Think of it. I'll give you 2 examples. Example 1, providing LPG for all houses, or example 2, providing LPG only for certain houses such as poor houses. Don't you think second example is better? Second example is better. Now what is the term? I will use the terms now. Please understand this. The first example, where everybody will get the subsidy, this is called as universal subsidy. Any problem? The first example, where everybody will get the subsidy, every house will get the subsidy, right? Every beneficiary will get the subsidy. It is called as universal subsidy. Second one, it is called as a targeted subsidy. Second one is called as targeted subsidy. Can I give you one more example for this? Can I say National Food Security Act? It is a targeted subsidy. Think of it. Right? NFSA, National Food Security Act, is it not targeted subsidy? That is, under NFSA, all of us will not get free food grains. I hope you understand. All of us will not get free food grains. only 80 plus crore people, around 81 crore people in India will get the free food grains. So we are not giving it to everyone, we are targeting certain people. So targeting is always better rather than universal. Most of the subsidies in India are universal in nature. Lot of subsidies are universal in nature. And when you have universal subsidies, please look at it and tell me, don't you think one, we are providing subsidies to the people who do not require it? All of you are okay? I'll repeat it. When you have universal subsidies, am I giving subsidies even to certain people who do not require it? Right? Yes, we are ending up giving it. Second, if you provide so much amount of subsidies, what will happen to your expenditure? What will happen to government expenditure? Government expenditure will be very, very huge. Right? So the argument is simple. We need to target subsidies. We need to target these subsidies. We should not provide subsidies for everybody in India. We should target the beneficiaries. That is the point number one. Second one, it will not allow for optimal utilization of resources. What do you mean by this? Let me give a very simple example. In lot of states in India, state government will announce free electricity for agriculture sector. Correct? In lot of the states, right? The government will announce, state government will announce free electricity for agriculture sector. Now, please tell me, if the farmers are given free electricity, do you think they will use electricity efficiently to draw the water from underground? And don't you think, right? The farmers will not be concerned about it. Earlier, the concern was the bill will be very high. Electricity bill will be very high. So they used to use it very efficiently, very economically. Now, free of a cost. They'll keep on drawing the water in excess. They will use the pump. They'll keep on drawing the water. Now, please tell me, as a result of this, what do you think will happen to underground water levels? Don't you think underground water levels will start falling down? Of course, yes. Right? So, can I say, doesn't allow for optimal utilization of resources? Of course, yes. Creates a lot of inefficiencies in the market. Creates a lot of inefficiencies. Right? Sir, what do you mean by inefficiencies? We'll discuss a concept called as MSP. Right? We'll discuss a concept called as MSP in some time. Whenever government announces MSP, production of a crop increases in India. I'll repeat the statement. What is MSP? I will write it. Please listen to me carefully now. In detail, we'll discuss about it day after tomorrow. Right? Trust me. In detail about MSP, we'll discuss day after tomorrow. But what is MSP? MSP is nothing but minimum support price. Minimum support price. And what is minimum support price? Government, whenever they purchase a food grain from the farmer, I repeat, whenever they purchase food grains from the farmer, what is the price the government will pay? That is called as minimum support price. All of you are okay with the definition? I will repeat the definition. Government will purchase the food grain from the farmer, and whatever is the price paid by the government for that is called as minimum support price. Sir, how many crops they will announce, how they will announce, how they will calculate? Day after tomorrow, have patience. So now tell me, crop A will get a MSP of 2000 rupee. Crop will get, B will get a MSP of, let's say, right, 1200 rupees. Now tell me, which of the two crops cultivation will increase? Think of it. Which of the two crops cultivation will increase? Obviously crop A. And when crop A's cultivation will increase, what will happen to supply in the market? What do you think will happen to the supply in the market? Supply in the market will also increase. And as a result of this, market prices, don't you think, will fall down? On the other side, think of what will happen to B. Because lower MSP, cultivation will come down, supply will come down, market prices will start increasing. Right? So I hope you understand. This is creating inefficiency in the market. Some of the crops prices will start crashing. Some of the crops prices will start increasing. Will it not hurt consumers? Will it not hurt farmers of some of the crops? Will it not hurt exports and imports into India? Answer is yes. Right? So these will create inefficiencies in the market. right? So these are some of the criticisms against the subsidy policy of Government of India. Now, right? Okay, there was a question, sir. What do you mean by right? Promoting better inputs. What do you mean by the term better inputs here? For example, Government of India provides subsidies for fertilizers. Is it an input in agriculture sector? Yes. Government wants you to consume more and more LPG rather than burning wood. Rather than burning firewood, government wants you to consume more LPG. They will provide subsidies for that. Is it an input? Of course, yes. So government wants you to consume better inputs whenever you produce. Okay. Now what is the classification? What is the classification? Understand this carefully. I will discuss two types of classification. One generally used in various documents by the government. One generally used by in the government documents. Another which is generally discussed in many notes. Let's start. First one, direct and indirect. First one is a direct and indirect. Now, what is the concept of a direct subsidy and indirect subsidy? Please understand this very carefully. Right? Let's say example 1, example 2. Earlier, focus on example 2. Earlier, what used to happen is, let's say I am a customer, I want to purchase LPG cylinder. I will book an LPG cylinder. And let's say cost of the LPG cylinder is 1000 rupee. Hypothetically, let's say cost of the cylinder is right 1000 rupee. The distributor, that is an Indian company, right, HP company, whoever it is, the distributor will give the cylinder to me at 600 rupees. That is step 2. Distributor will give me the cylinder at 600 rupees. Now, government will pay, right, subsidy of 400 rupees to the distributor. Government will say, right, government will pay subsidy of 400 rupees, right, to the distributor. Now think of it. Can I say in this example, that is example 2, can I say in this example, the consumer, that is a beneficiary, is able to purchase a good or a service at subsidized prices? I'll repeat the statement again here. Right? In the second example, right, that is at the lower part of the slide, can I say the consumer, that is a beneficiary, is able to purchase the good or a service at a subsidized prices. Subsidized means what? Some of you are saying no. Tell me why. Why are you saying no? Please tell me. What do you mean by subsidized? When you pay a certain amount, the subsidy is already given to you. You already have received the subsidy when you purchase a good or a service. Right? So you already have received subsidy. But don't you think there's a problem with this system? What is the problem? Point number 1. Government will give subsidy to the distributor. Can Government of India come to know how many cylinders I have purchased? Let me know. Can Government of India come to know how many cylinders I have purchased? Now, second point, can Government of India also come to know whether this distributor is giving the cylinder for a house or for a hotel? I hope you understand the second problem. Why? Please understand this carefully. Whenever you talk about the LPG cylinders, there are two types. There are basically two types. One is a commercial cylinder. Weight of a commercial cylinder is above 19 kgs. And other one is a domestic cylinder that is used in the houses. For example, in your house, in my home, we use a domestic LPG cylinder. Weight is around 14 kgs. Government will provide subsidies in case of domestic cylinder, but no subsidies in case of commercial cylinders. Which means if this distributor will supply this cylinder to a right entity, that is a hotel, a restaurant, and keep on getting subsidies from Government of India, can Government of India come to know about it? Of course no. Right? So I hope you understand. Leakages might happen. Leakages, diversion of cylinders can take place. Right? Cylinders, multiple cylinders can be consumed by certain households, and no cylinders can be consumed by other households. That also I will not come to know. These are certain problems regarding indirect subsidies. Right? So what is an indirect subsidy? Have a look at it. involves providing the good or a service at a subsidized prices. In case of direct, involves actual cash payment to the beneficiary. How? Look at example 1 now. Look at example 1. Step number 1, I will book the cylinder. Step number 2, cylinder will be sold to me at 1000 rupees. Cylinder will be sold to me at 1000 rupees. Step number 3, government will transfer this 400 rupees subsidy into my bank account. Now tell me, between example 2 and example 1, don't you think example 1, we are targeting the beneficiaries? Correct? Example 1, we are targeting the beneficiaries. Second, right, we will come to know, that is government will come to know how many cylinders I am purchasing. And government says, in a year, I will provide you maximum 12 cylinders subsidy. Simple. In a year, maximum 12 cylinders, I will give you subsidy. In fact, the argument is 12 is also very high. In fact, experts say that criticism is this: 12 is very high in India. That is, if you take an average family size of 5 people, this house will require 1 cylinder every 4 months. Right? So in a year, maximum they will consume 4 to 5 cylinders. So even that 12 number is very, very high. But anyways, government says, for 12 cylinders in a year, I will give you per cylinder 400. Sir, what if I purchase 13th cylinder? Government says, I will not give you subsidy. Point number 3, even this household, now there is a rule. Even if this household has an annual income of more than 10 lakh rupees, I will repeat the statement. Even if this house has an annual income of more than 10 lakh rupees, government will not give you subsidies. And as I'm discussing all of it, there is a very interesting question raised by a student. Sir, is this subsidy universal subsidy or a targeted subsidy? You tell me, right? Don't you think that is pretty much clear based on the discussion? Don't you think that is pretty much clear? In fact, I use the term also. I asked you first question, is it targeting the beneficiaries or not? Of course, yes. So then it has to be targeted subsidy. Right? So understand this. Direct subsidy means subsidies are provided to the beneficiaries, not to the supplier, to the beneficiaries. You purchase at market price and government will give you subsidy. This is basically idea of a direct subsidy. So now one more point should be very clear to you. One more point. What is the point? Same scheme, can it be a direct subsidy as well as a targeted subsidy? Think of it. Right? One scheme, can it be a direct subsidy as well as targeted subsidy? So no, it cannot be. My dear, example is there right in front of you. That is LPG subsidy in India. Today, it is a targeted subsidy. It is also a direct subsidy. Right? In fact, day after tomorrow, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, because just a repetition now, tomorrow is a public holiday. No classes. So day after tomorrow, we will discuss a concept called as direct benefit transfer. DBT. What is DBT? It's an initiative of Government of India where more than 300 schemes are covered under this. Right? These schemes either will be in the form of kind schemes, that is subsidy will be in the form of kind or in the form of cash. But argument of DBT is we are going to target beneficiaries. We are going to identify the right beneficiary and transfer subsidies to the right beneficiary. For example, NFSA, National Food Security Act. It's a kind subsidy. All of you are okay with this? Let me know. National Food Security Act, it's a kind subsidy, targeted subsidy. It is part of DBT now. LPG subsidy, right? Just now we have discussed this. LPG subsidy, right? It's a cash subsidy. It is also part of DBT now. Right? So lot of these schemes, more than 300 schemes are covered under DBT now. Okay? So one is a direct, second one is indirect. Second one is universal and targeted. That should be pretty much clear to all of you now. Universal means the subsidies is available to everyone. Everyone. Whereas targeted means the beneficiaries will have to be identified. Only those beneficiaries will get the subsidy. Right? Universal and targeted. Sir, any example of universal subsidy? Please tell me. Fertilizer subsidy. I can go to the market, purchase fertilizer. You can go to the market, purchase fertilizer. The farmer can go to the market, purchase fertilizer. All of us will get subsidy. All of us will get subsidy. All of us will get subsidy. Can I call this as a universal subsidy? But don't you think, please think of this. In the context of fertilizer I'm talking, think of this. If a farmer is very rich and another farmer is very poor, do you think it is fair to provide same kind of fertilizer subsidy for both of them? All of you agree? This has been the argument by many experts. Many experts say rich farmers anyways they can afford. If you can't sell them at market price, at least reduce the subsidy. How can you provide same amount of subsidy for poor farmer when they purchase a fertilizer and a rich farmer when they are also purchasing same fertilizer? You should not be doing that. Anyways, targeted subsidy. Best example is NFSA, National Food Security Act, and LPG subsidy. Third one, conditional and unconditional. Listen very carefully. Conditional, unconditional. Conditional subsidies are those subsidies which will be provided to you when you will meet a certain performance or you will behave in a certain way. Right? Based on your performance, based on your behavior, subsidies will be provided to you. Can I give you a prime example? All of you heard of FAME initiative? Let me know. All of you heard of FAME initiative? In fact, I've given you articles also on FAME initiative. I've asked you to read about FAME initiative. Under the FAME initiative, don't you think there is a condition of 50% domestic content requirement? Let me know. Right, under FAME initiative, we have discussed this also earlier. Right, under this FAME subsidy, if you want to get subsidy from the government, you will have to ensure that at least 50% of the value addition has to happen in India. So now tell me, there is an electric vehicle manufacturer A, electric vehicle manufacturer B. If company A meets the condition, company A will get subsidy. If company B will not meet the condition, company B will not get the subsidy. So can I say, in this case, subsidy is given based on the performance or the behavior of the beneficiary. Is the logic okay? In this case, can I say, the performance or the behavior on that, we will provide subsidies. These are called as conditional. These are called as conditional. On the other side, unconditional. Best example, PM Kisan scheme. Anybody in the classroom who says, sir, I've seen the PM Kisan scheme, 6,000 rupees connected to performance or the behavior of the farmer. Anybody in the classroom? Absolutely no. Right? Government simply says 6,000 rupees is income support, you take it. You use it for whatever purpose you want, you use it. Right? That is basically unconditional. Next one, implicit and explicit. Slightly tricky. Follow this carefully. Slightly tricky. Implicit and explicit. In case of implicit, the government will control the supply and also control the prices. In case of explicit, this is for implicit, this is for explicit. In case of explicit, government will clearly state for whom the subsidies are supplied or given. Let me start. PM Kisan scheme. Simple example. PM Kisan scheme. Tell me, is government very clear to whom the subsidies are given? Let me know. Is the government very clear for whom subsidies are going to be given? Of course, yes. Some of us saying no. My dear, can you get PM Kisan scheme? Can you get subsidy under PM Kisan scheme? Can I get, right? Look at the name. So very difficult to remember this scheme. My dear, the name itself is PM Kisan. What more you want? And what more you want? And don't you think the target is there in the name itself? That is, they are going to provide only to farmers. I cannot get PM Kisan incentive. I cannot get that. Sorry, in subsidy. I cannot get 6,000 rupee. I'm not a farmer. Right? Can IAS officer get 6,000 rupee subsidy? No. Only farmers. Only farmers. Only farmers are supposed to get 6,000 rupee. Right? That is, can I say explicit subsidy? Can I say explicit subsidy? But on the other side, let me introduce one more concept to you. The idea of cross subsidization and railways. Right? In railways, let me know. I'm pretty sure all of you know this. In railways, don't you think if you purchase a general class ticket, if you purchase a general class ticket, the ticket prices are very low? Correct or not? Let me know. If you purchase a general class ticket, ticket prices are very low. In fact, please understand this logic. In fact, government says, if the actual ticket price is, let's say 6 rupees, if the actual cost is 6 rupee, for general class, I will not charge 6 rupee. I will charge 4 rupee. If the actual cost is 6 rupee, I will not charge you 6. If you purchase a general class, I will charge you 4 rupee. Now, please tell me, is this a subsidy of 2 rupees or not? Let me know. Is this a subsidy of 2 rupee? In this example, can I say government is giving you a subsidy of 2 rupee? But now tell me, general class ticket, is it available only for the poor people? Let me know. Is it available only for the poor people? Is it available only for the middle class people? No. Can I say it is applicable to everyone? It is applicable to everyone. Anybody can purchase a general class ticket. So now think of it. Can I say government, by controlling the supply, government by deciding the prices is providing certain subsidies for anyone in the market, right? But this is called as implicit subsidy. This is called as implicit subsidy. Implicit, government controls the supply, government decides the prices, hence this is called as implicit subsidy. Anybody has a problem with this? Let me know. Anybody has a problem with this? Government is not saying I will give you 2 rupee subsidy. No way. Government simply says, right, purchase a general class ticket at 4 rupee, which means government has already given to you a subsidy of 2 rupee. Right? So these are called as implicit subsidies. Right? So railways is the best example of implicit subsidies. Railways is the best example of implicit subsidy. Okay. Now let me go forward. Sir, can we consider this as a universal subsidy? Yes. Yes, right. It is available to everyone. It is available to everyone. But please understand, universal subsidies, you can get it in a different way altogether. There are different ways through which universal subsidies can be provided. Right? Let's say, just think of this. Just think of it. Government of India for all the houses will provide subsidy of 400 rupee in the form of cash. Think of it. Please think of it. Government of India for all the houses in India, hypothetically, let's say for all the houses in India, will provide you a subsidy of 400 rupee for LPG cylinders. Subsidy of 400 rupee cash, right, in the form of LPG cylinders. Can I call this as can I call this as universal subsidy? Let me know. Can I call this as implicit subsidy? Yes. Can I call this a universal subsidy? Yes. But is it an implicit subsidy? Think of it. Is it an implicit subsidy? No. Government of India says everybody is covered. Every household is covered. Take 400 rupee cash. That will become explicit subsidy. So I hope you understand. Again, don't get into the technicalities of all of this. Trust me, the terms are used by the government of India. Right? In books, you will not get it. I know. The books you will not get it. Many of you are saying, sir, the chapter is not there in the book. Many of the books have not given a chapter on subsidies. But these terminologies are used by the government. That's the reason I'm discussing all of it. Okay, done. So let me go forward. The idea of a cross subsidization. There is one more concept, idea of cross subsidization. Now, what do you mean by cross subsidization? Cross subsidization means you are supplying a good or a service to different consumers at different prices. I'll repeat the statement. You are supplying the goods or services to different consumers at different prices. Sir, what do you mean by that? Let's take a simple example. Same railways. For a general class ticket, I will impose and collect a tariff of 4 rupee. But if you're transporting a good, let's say you're transporting this bottle using railways, then railways will impose 7 rupee charge and collect it from you. So now look at this example. Can I say railways is a service provided to two different consumers at two different prices? Yes or no? It's a service which is provided to two different consumers at two different prices. Right? It is done by government. It is done by the government. Can I give you one more example? Electricity. Do you think electricity tariff means rates? Electricity rates for all the consumers in India is the same. Think of it. Electricity rates for all consumers, for all houses in India is the same? Of course no. If you are a poor household, you can be given electricity at 2 rupee per unit. You can be given electricity at 0 rupee per unit. If you are a commercial enterprise, they will charge you 10 rupee per unit. Can I call this as cross subsidization? Right? Can I call this as cross subsidization? Cross means different consumers, different prices. Sir, why are they doing it? The reason why they do it is they want to ensure for certain consumers this is available at a lower cost. For example, poor houses, they want to ensure it is available at lower cost. But on the other side, if they provide it at lower cost, then they will incur huge amount of expenditure. So to a certain extent, they want to recover by imposing higher charges on others. Right? To recover certain amount of money, right, they will basically impose it at higher charges on others. So electricity, different prices are there. Railways, different prices are there. All of this is nothing but cross subsidization. Okay. Some of you are saying, sir, I am from Karnataka. It is correct. Yes, in Karnataka they do that. In Punjab also they do this. In Delhi also they do this. That is basically the argument. Okay, done. Now one more classification. Right, one more classification. This is much more simple. Input subsidy, price subsidy, export subsidy, and infrastructure subsidy. Very simple. First one is input subsidy. Let me take examples from agriculture sector. It is easier to understand. What are the inputs in the agriculture sector? All of you are okay with this? Irrigation is an input. Seeds are inputs. Fertilizers are inputs. More than sufficient. Right? You can keep on writing. You can keep on extending the list. But all of you are okay? Irrigation, that is electricity, seeds, fertilizer, these are the inputs. If government of India will provide subsidies on these inputs, can I call this as input subsidy? Very simple question, by the way. If government of India will provide subsidies on the inputs, can I call this as input subsidy? And does government of India provide input subsidy? I'll give you the best example. Government provides fertilizer subsidies. Government of India provides a fertilizer subsidies. We'll discuss in a short time. Have patience. Government of India provides lot of fertilizer subsidies. What is price subsidy? Imagine government will purchase this bottle, purchase the bottle, transport the bottle, sell it to you. Simple. Imagine government will purchase this bottle, transport, store the bottle, and then sell it to you either at 3 rupees, either at 0 rupees or at 10 rupees, doesn't matter. Can I simply say, if government has purchased it at X rupee and sells it to you at Y rupee, assuming X is greater than Y, government has given certain subsidy to you? Sir, any example in the current affairs? Tomatoes. Yes or no? Any example in the current affairs? Tomatoes. Right? Don't you think government is purchasing tomatoes at a higher price in some market, giving it to the buyers at lower prices in the market? Sir, any other example? My dear, food security. National Food Security. Correct or not? National Food Security Act. Under that, government will pay certain money, procure food grain, purchase food grain, transport, store it, then sell it free of a cost. Not even collect 1 rupee, sell it free of a cost. Which means, don't you think government is incurring or government is providing certain price subsidy to the beneficiaries? Right? So price subsidy means the difference between the price at which government will purchase and the price at which government will sell, assuming the price of purchasing higher than price of selling. If it is vice versa, I hope you understand. Let me give a very simple example. If government will purchase the bottle at 40, sell to you at 5 rupees, can I say government of India has given you a price subsidy of 35 rupees? Correct or not? Government of India has given you a price subsidy of 35. But what if government of India does vice versa? They will purchase it at 40, sell it to at 50 rupees. Does it mean they are giving you subsidy here? Right? Does it mean government is giving subsidy? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. The best example for price subsidy is food grains which are distributed under public distribution system. Under public distribution system, for example, some time ago I said food grains are given free of a cost by the government now for certain beneficiaries. So they will purchase at, let's say, 40 rupees. They will give it to you at 0 rupees. So how much is the price subsidy? That is 40 rupees. So public distribution system, PDS. Okay, we'll discuss how FCI will purchase, how PDS will identify, right? How many people have been identified, how much kgs are given, what is given. We'll discuss all of it, don't worry. Next one is export subsidy. I will give a very simple example. Tell me whether this is correct or not. MEIS and SEIS. Let me know. Export subsidies, MEIS and SEIS. Anybody in the classroom who is going to ask me, sir, what is MEIS? We have discussed in the first session. Right? MEIS and SEIS, are they not export subsidies? Of course, yes. And finally, infrastructure subsidy. Right? Imagine you're developing an infrastructure. Government will give you subsidy for it. Government will give you money for development of infrastructure. Can I call it as an infrastructure subsidy? Sir, any example? I'll give a very simple example. There is a scheme called as Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. We'll discuss this later under agriculture. There's a scheme by the name of Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. Under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, government will provide subsidies for you if you are developing certain type of infrastructure. There is in fact one more scheme by the name of SMAM, Submission on Agriculture Mechanization. Submission on agriculture mechanization. So on submission on agriculture mechanization, government will provide certain subsidies for you to purchase, right, drones. So there are a lot of subsidies which are provided by the government to assist growth of infrastructure in India. Right, so these are the different types of subsidies classification used by the government. Any difficulty? All subsidies are basically price subsidies. How, my dear? How? Price subsidy, I'm saying government will purchase, government will sell. Infrastructure subsidy, you will construct an infrastructure, government will give money to you. How do you say all of them are one and the same? Input subsidy, imagine a private sector company wants to sell fertilizer. Government will give fertilizer company a subsidy. How? How is that all of them are one the same? I don't understand. You tell me how all of them are one and the same. Example of infrastructure subsidy, I've written it, Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. I said I'll discuss this separately under agriculture. You should have patience for it. So under this, government will provide, right? Under this, right, government will provide certain subsidies for development of agriculture infrastructure. So what kind of agriculture infrastructure? Can I give you one example? Warehousing. Please tell me. Warehousing. Right? Don't you think warehousing is agriculture infrastructure or not? Right? So government will provide certain subsidies for growth and development of agriculture infrastructure. We'll discuss that later. Please don't worry. Okay? Right? So these are the classifications. Okay. Now come to the next point here. Fertilizer subsidies. Very important. Lot of times, this is there in the newspaper. Fertilizer subsidy. Now, what do you mean by fertilizer subsidy? Right? How fertilizer subsidy is provided? Point number one, fertilizers are nothing but nutrients. Correct? Please do let me know. What do you mean by fertilizer? Fertilizer is nothing but nutrients. Right? Why nutrients are required? Right? Let me take you back to a childhood or even today. Right? Have you consumed Complan? Have you consumed Bornvita? Some of you might simply say, sir, right now, even today, my mother is very much concerned about my height and weight. They will give me Complan. Why? Why do you think we are given Complan or Bornvita or Horlicks, whatever the product is, so that we will have sufficient nutrients for the growth purposes? In the same way, even the plants will require nutrients. I hope you understand. In the same way, even the plants will require nutrients. Now, if the soil does not have sufficient nutrients, we will supply the nutrients in the form of fertilizer. That's a basic idea. Now, what kind of fertilizers are there? Three types of fertilizer. In fact, there's a fourth one also. I'll come to that. One is urea. Right? In case of urea, most of or maximum component of urea is nitrogen. That is, if you purchase 100 kgs of urea, 46% of this, that is 46 kgs of this is nitrogen. Then you have a diammonium phosphate. Most highest component or the highest nutrient in this is phosphorus. And you can come to the last one, muriate of potash, MOP. 60% of muriate of potash is actually, right, the potassium itself. So there is a requirement of additional nutrients for the purposes of promoting growth of the plant. We will supply it in the form of fertilizers, right? So urea is available in the market, diammonium phosphate is available, muriate of potash is also available. In addition to this, there is also concept of NPKS complex, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur. NPKS complex, right? That is basically the concept of fertilizers. Now, come to the next point here. In case of India, please make observations here. In case of India, we produce a lot of fertilizers, but the demand for the fertilizers in India is much higher compared to what is the production done in India. For example, please look at the production of fertilizers in India and make observations. Can I say the highest amount of fertilizer produced in India is urea? Please observe the graphs and tell me. Highest amount of fertilizer that is produced in India is urea. Point number one. Point number two, can I also say, looking at the graph, there is no production of muriate of potash in India. Let me know. There is no production of muriate of potash, MOP, in India. Please observe the graph. Look at the graph, right? Look at the graph and answer. But on the other side, if you look at the right side of the graph, if you look at the right side in the graph, we are consuming muriate of potash. How is that possible? We are not producing, but we are consuming. What does it mean? Can I say all the muriate of potash that is consumed in India is imported into India? I'll repeat the statement. All the muriate of potash that is consumed in India is imported into India. Now, if you ask me, sir, why don't we produce a muriate of potash? Reason is simple. The raw materials which are required is not available in India. That's a precise reason. We will simply import it. Point number 3. Please observe and tell me, is it correct if I say highest consumed fertilizer in India is urea? Highest consumed fertilizer in India is urea. Highest imported fertilizer in India is urea. Right? So all these points are important for UPSC. Please remember this. Please remember. Right? So muriate of potash, we import it. Urea, we produce it, but even then we import it. Right? A diammonium phosphate, right? We produce it, then also we import it. Complex fertilizer. Complex means what? NPKs. NPKs is a complex fertilizer. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and sulfur. It's a complex fertilizer. Right? So NPKs is also manufactured. We also, right, use it in the domestic market. Done? So these are certain very important points. Now, in case of all these fertilizers, government will provide subsidies. The question is, what is muriate of potash? Muriate of potash is a fertilizer. What answer are you expecting from me? I don't know. But muriate of potash is a fertilizer where, right, 60% of muriate of potash is potassium. Okay. Now, let me go to the next one. Why don't we import MOP raw material and produce it in India domestically? If it is worthwhile, they will do it. Rather than importing, manufacturing, they feel it is better to import. They are able to do that. Okay. So let me go to the next point. Government of India, through Department of Fertilizer, which functions under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, provides subsidies for all the fertilizers in India. Provides subsidies for all the fertilizers. How the subsidy is given? Please look at it. Please look at it. In case of urea, we provide subsidies based on the cost of production. I'll come back to this, just have patience. In case of urea, we provide subsidies based on the cost of production. In case of a diammonium phosphate and a muriate of potash, we follow a system from 2010 which is called as nutrient-based subsidy. We follow a system which is called as a nutrient-based subsidy, NBS, nutrient-based subsidy. Now, what is the calculation? How do we provide in urea the subsidy? How do we provide subsidy in case of MOP and DAP? Let's try and understand it. Let's start. Let's start. Imagine I'm producing a bag of urea. Okay, imagine I'm a private sector company. I'm producing a bag of urea and I want to sell it in the market, including profit. I want to sell it in the market, let's say at 900 rupees. Again, all these are hypothetical calculations because in reality, the actual market price per bag of urea today, it is more than 2000 rupees. Actual market price. But in the market, we are not going to sell it at 2000. Why? I'll tell you. So imagine I want to sell it in the market at right 900 rupees, including profit. But Government of India says, don't sell it at 900 rupees. Please sell it at 300 rupees. Right? So automatically I will ask the government, if you are asking me to sell it at 300, from 900, if I sell it at 300, right, I am going to incur a loss of 600. So government basically says, I will give you a subsidy of 600 rupees. I will give you a subsidy of 600 rupees. All of you are okay with how urea, right, subsidies are provided by the government? Please do let me know how urea subsidies are provided by the government. Right, whatever is your cost of production, government will ask you to sell it at a certain MRP in the market. So the difference between that is provided in the form of subsidies. Now, in case of DAP and MOP, different. In case of these, it is different. We follow concept of nutrient-based subsidy. What do you mean by nutrient-based subsidy? For every kg of nutrient that you consume, government will fix subsidies. I will repeat a statement here. For every kg of nutrient that you consume, government will fix a certain amount of subsidy. Now, what is the meaning of it? Let's start. Right, let's start. In case of diammonium phosphate, right, 18% of DAP is a nitrogen and 46% is phosphorus. What is the meaning of it? Let me explain it. Follow this carefully. Imagine you have manufactured 100 kgs of diammonium phosphate. Imagine you have manufactured 100 kgs of diammonium phosphate, which means out of 100 kgs, 18 kgs is nitrogen and 46 kgs is right phosphorus. All of you okay with this? I've given the numbers. I'm taking simple numbers now. 18%, 46%. Now government of India will decide for every kg of nitrogen, for 1 kg of nitrogen, how much subsidy will be given to you. For 1 kg of phosphorus, how much subsidy will be given to you. And let's say hypothetically, let's say for 1 kg of nitrogen, it is 18 rupees and 1 kg of phosphorus, it is 14 rupees. So can I calculate for 100 kgs, how much subsidy should be given? Can I calculate it like this? Look at the table. Can I calculate it like this? So for 18 kgs per kg 18 rupees. For 46 kgs per kg 14 rupees. So for 100 kgs, I would be getting 958 rupees subsidies from the government. This is called as nutrient based subsidy. Any difficulty here? Nutrient based subsidy. And in case of MOP, and many of you are asking, should we remember the numbers? Please don't. Please don't. But I hope you understand what is the meaning of nutrient based subsidy. Objective of showing you the calculation and numbers is to make you understand. Do not by heart these numbers. Do not by heart these numbers. UPSC will not ask you these numbers. Why? Please tell me. Don't you think by now, the government would have already changed how much subsidy they will give for every kg of nitrogen? Think of it. By now, don't you think government would have already changed how much subsidy they will give for nitrogen? How much subsidy they will give for potassium? Of course, yes. So from 1 year to next year, it will keep on changing. That's the reason. Do not by heart, but understand. And come to the next one here, muriate of potash. In case of muriate of potash, right, 60% is basically potassium. And some of you are trying to do, right, PhD thesis here. So tell me 100 kgs. What else is there? Don't worry. UPSC is never focused on it. You don't have to become a PhD thesis holder in agriculture sector. Understand the concept, my dear. Understand the concept. Why are you unnecessarily worried about other things? Why are you unnecessarily worried about other things? Not required. 60% is potassium, right? 60 kgs. For every kg, 10 rupee. So I will give you 600 rupee for 100 kgs. I hope you understand this. This is how nutrient-based subsidy is calculated. This is how NBS is calculated. Now, let me connect it to current affairs. Because of Russia-Ukraine war, what do you think has happened to the prices of nutrients in the international market? This is the point I'm trying to make. This is important for you. Because of Russia-Ukraine war, what do you think has happened to gas prices? Gas is also used in manufacturing. What do you think has happened to nutrient prices? All of the prices have increased. Now imagine if government of India does not increase the subsidy. I repeat, imagine if government does not increase the subsidy, don't you think fertilizer prices will increase for farmers? All of you okay? Fertilizer prices, farmers will have to pay money, more money to get fertilizers. Right? That is the precise reason. In the last 1 year, if you have seen the newspapers, you will come across this statement. The subsidies under fertilizers paid by the government has increased. All of you are okay with this statement? Subsidies paid by the government of India for financial year 22, it has increased. For financial year 23, it has increased. Why? Government cannot keep on giving the same amount of subsidy when the nutrient prices have increased. Otherwise, farmers will have to pay more money for fertilizers. That is not acceptable. Government has increased the subsidies. Right? So, if UPSC will ask you a question like this, which of the following factors will influence fertilizer subsidy of government of India? Global, right? Global events such as Russia-Ukraine war, will it affect? Answer is yes. Rising natural gas prices, will it affect? Answer is yes. Higher cultivation by the farmers, answer is yes. So please be very careful, right? They might use these kind of questions in the UPSC. Please be very, very careful. Okay. So this is how fertilizer subsidy paid by the government has increased over a period of time. Don't ask me, sir, 21, 22, why it has not increased, it has decreased. My dear, it is not for the full financial year. It is not for the full financial year. That's a reason. Don't ask me, right? Why for 21, 22 it has dropped. Okay. So for 2021, subsidies are very, very high. 21, 22 very high. Last year it was more than 2 trillion rupees, right? So it is expected to be higher even this year. Okay. But make one more observation. Make one more observation. Look at this graph and tell me, can I say highest amount of subsidy in fertilizers is given for urea? Let me know. Highest amount of subsidy the under fertilizers is given by government to urea. Some of you are saying no. My goodness, I don't know what to do now. Right? You people tell me, what should I do? You are supposed to make observation and answer. No calculation, nothing. Supposed to make observations and answer. Even there you are making a mistake. Right? So my concern is only this thing then. Please focus on your reading also. Please focus on how you read also, right? UPSC might be asking something else, you will write something else. Why? My question here is, please observe, out of the total subsidies given in this graph, has it been given to fertilizer? 2 students said, no sir, you're wrong. Then what is your answer? Let me know. For whom more subsidy has been provided? So it is right. It is right. Okay. Now there is one more. There are 2 more students who asked, sir, why can't we bring urea under NBS? There is a recommendation. I'll repeat. Why can't we bring urea under NBS? There is a recommendation. Government of India so far has not done it. Right? They might do it going forward, but as of now, there is a recommendation. They might do it. Okay. Last point for the day. After this, we'll stop the discussion. Last point. Agriculture urea is most subsidized, most produced, most consumed, most imported, most physically controlled. Right? What do you mean by most physically controlled? Government will dictate, I repeat, government will dictate in what area some of your fertilizers have to be sold. I will repeat the statement. Physical control means government will tell you some of your fertilizer, you will have to sell it in this area, in that state, etc., etc. That is basically called as physically controlled. Okay, done. Right. So these are certain points I wanted to discuss. Couple of more concepts are there regarding fertilizer. We will take it up tomorrow. I'm sorry, day after tomorrow, not tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll repeat it. Tomorrow is a holiday. Tomorrow is a public holiday, so no class. We will take up the discussion again, continue. Right. Some of you are worried about the questions from the previous chapter. We'll discuss questions also day after tomorrow. Please do not be worried. I will not skip it. I will cover it. Have patience, but okay, done. What do you mean by most physically controlled? I'll repeat it. Government will dictate how much of your fertilizer you will have to sell in state 1, state 2, right? In this district, in this district. This is called as physical control of the movement. Okay. Didn't understand how urea subsidy is given? You are a producer of urea. You want to sell it in the market at 1000 rupee. Government says don't sell it at 1000, sell it at 400 rupee. Can I simply say difference between what you wanted to sell and at what price you are asked to sell, that is the subsidy given by the government. Simple idea, right? Explain implicit and explicit. I'll repeat it. Do not complicate all of these. Many of you, I'll tell you what you will do. Many of you will take, right, some subsidy, try to insert it in explicit. Some subsidy, try to put it in implicit. Don't do that. Keep it simple. In fact, listen to me when I say this. Many books have not even covered these terms. Many books have not covered them. But I want you to be careful, because suddenly the newspaper will use the term, this is an implicit subsidy. Now it will become, right, let's say direct subsidy. These kind of terms can be used in the newspaper. That's a reason. Read carefully, listen to me carefully. That is basically implicit subsidies are those subsidies where government will control the prices. Government will control the prices, government will control the supply, and in the process provide subsidies. In case of explicit subsidies, government has identified, right, the target beneficiaries, and they will provide the subsidies to only them. That is the concept of, right, the idea of a explicit subsidy. Okay, if I'm appearing in 2026 after completing full basic course, we have to practice answer writing, or from now only. If you're writing in 2026, I would say keep a time frame of at least 1 year. 1 year before the exam, start practicing answer writing. If such subsidies are hazardous to maintain BOP, I know which subsidies are you talking about? Please clarify. Can we say that subsidies can also create a burden or deficit in revenues for the government? In fact, I've told you this. Right, when I was discussing concerns regarding subsidies, problems regarding subsidies, I said the subsidies will create a lot of revenue deficit for the government. Expenditure will be very high, etc. That is a fact. That's a fact. Okay. Sir, your classes are sufficient for both prelims and mains, and Hindu newspaper analysis sufficient. Can I study some material NCERT regarding economics? You can read NCERT. You can read Tamil Nadu textbooks also, class 11th and class 12th. You can use these resources. But please be very careful, right? I will not say that only my class notes will be sufficient. I've never said that. I will never say that. Why? You'll have to keep on updating lot of current affairs. You'll have to keep on updating lot of current affairs. Okay. Sir, you told India's overall BOP is in deficit, but in book it has mentioned that change in reserves increase in 21-22. Do me a favor, type in Google. Right? I don't want to take the name of the student who's asking, but I read this in the Google. Do me a favor, type it in the Google. And in the Google, you'll see that for this year and the last year, there is going to be a BOP deficit. That's what I said. Right? In the last couple of years, we are facing BOP deficit. It doesn't mean that always there is a BOP deficit. It all depends on so many transactions that are going to take place under BOP. So from 1 year to next year, it could be a deficit, it could be a surplus, etc., etc. There is no guarantee what is going to happen. Okay. Done. Right. So let me stop the discussion today here. We'll continue the discussion day after tomorrow. We'll pick it up from fertilizer subsidies, then go forward, and we'll also discuss the questions from the previous chapter. Okay, so that's it from my side. Take care. See you on Wednesday morning sharp 6 a.m. Happy Independence Day to all of you. Right? Take care. See you on Wednesday.